if I left my house at a certain time and I turned on my car, I knew exactly what song was going to be playing. And I was generally right.
Yeah.
Or we are in a simulation.
You know what? If we are in a simulation, tip of the cap to that person, because we are living the life, are we not?
We are, yes.
Weed's legal. We have every scintilla of information a human being could conceivably want at their fingertips. We learn more about the universe every single day. I mean, the world's a pretty rad place if you get past the people who keep screaming that it's on fire and we're all about to die.
Right, yeah.
It's reality's perception, that's the thing.
It is perspective and also perceptive, and also other things that start with per.
And also, this is Sessions with Mary Jane. I'm Reena Ezra.
I'm Jordan Freed.
I'm Brendan O'Brien.
And we have two very special guests with us this evening, Jamie and Tara. I'm just going to go on first name basis. I just want to make sure, I could say the last names, but...
We're just being cat.
You'll read it in the description.
Yeah. We're already on, friendship stage.
Yeah, we're excited for you guys to hear about these people because they are amazing. Thank you guys for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Wow, we are going to do that the entire night. That's really awkward.
Yeah,
that is.
You may have seen the promo video for this where they said the exact same thing at the exact same time, so now you're seeing this happening live here, recorded live.
Jamie Lewis and Tara Chaos. For the people at home who hover over Google the whole episode to check with us to make sure that the challenge has actually been assessed.
Oh yes, challenge. Did you guys know you were having a challenge?
No.
I hope they're happy with us. No,
I welcome a challenge.
It's really simple. It's just a thing we like to do because when people, are just doing this podcast throughout the episode, you name a list of things and you guys are going to go head to head and you just have to list bodybuilders.
Okay.
And it's just a fun thing we do
we
while we're
back
having
and forth?
conversation. Yes. I mean, you can interrupt at any time while we're asking you about your cool, amazing lives and who you guys are as people, because we definitely want to dive into a lot of things. Because, how we met you guys the first time.
You might want to pick a different topic. Because I'm actually a strength historian, so most of what I write about is bodybuilders. I could genuinely just sit here and name bodybuilders endlessly. Until the end.
Well, the challenge. So the highest one right now, I think we're at 89, right?
89 bodybuilders?
No.
Someone listed 89 in their categories.
Well, I can just go then. You want to just go?
Well,
you can go for a little bit, then you can stop and we can talk.
I'm just going to tap and lose on this one because
she's sick of hearing about them.
After 5 years of being together, 3 of which we've been married, if I hear another bodybuilder's name, I'm gonna scream.
Alright, we'll fire the PA. You came up with this challenge. You're done!
Here, I'll win the challenge with one awesome bodybuilder that nobody's heard of, who is also the first black
Chef Rush.
Well, yeah, he's the old chef of the White House gave me a challenge coin when we met him. We hung out with him for a weekend. We drank together all weekend. He's the coolest, the guy with the 24-inch arms. I got pictures with him. I'll show you.
Of the African American chef, and he's got the
huge arms. That guy.
His arms are as big as his forearm.
Jeez.
And he is the nicest guy.
Genuinely the nicest man on earth.
And
that's
Jamie
awesome.
wrote about him, and we were invited to the Arnold by the gentleman that runs it.
So the Arnold is the Arnold Classic weekend. It's the biggest bodybuilding festival in the world other than the Mr. Olympia. Mm-hmm. So I was sitting at a table, and Arnold sat right there next to me. And I started crying. And then I got up and ran away and ran face first into Matt Eisman from American Ninja Warrior.
Oh my God!
Started screaming like a little girl, hugging Matt Eisman. And I interrupted the entire dinner that was going on. It was a spectacle that I made of myself. And then I turned around and I ran into
fundraiser.
Yeah, then I ran into Ralph Moeller. So we're at 4 bodybuilders right now. And that's just telling in one story that I was just sitting at a dinner table.
Couture.
Yeah, but he's not a bodybuilder, but he was a UFC heavyweight
But he was there.
He drank with us all weekend as well.
He's
So,
amazing.
it was fun.
And there is a
Wow.
TikTok video that is forthcoming.
Oh,
I think.
yeah, where she interviews Randy Couture and you find out that he once went to the hospital wearing bikini underwear.
No. It was a thong.
Oh, it was a thong.
It was a thong.
Yeah.
Because what I do when I meet notable people is I play a game called 3 Quick Questions. The problem with 3 Quick Questions is it's literally whatever my brain says to ask them, which can get a little weird. I asked Randy Couture his most embarrassing moment.
That was, and somehow we got a great moment.
That.
Yeah. Wow, I feel like you should be interviewing us then. 3 questions.
Oh boy.
Well, we can consider this a co-interview.
Yeah. No, it's a conversation.
A home and home.
But I just want to take it back to when I first met you guys at the Weedman's Joint.
Yes.
Is it called the Weedman's Joint?
It's going to be basically the joint of Trenton, I think, eventually.
Right now it's called New Jersey Weedman's Joint.
Oh, thank you for correcting me. Yeah, because I knew the wasn't correct.
The Jersey.
I'm just used to this. I'm used to calling it like, because we were there so often. But I first met you guys. I don't know. It was just like an initial feeling of like, oh wow, hold up, these guys. Okay, they're interesting. Like it was like talking to you guys, and also just your energy, and also with each other, watching your energy with each other. Like it was just fun. It was just such a fun conversation, and you guys are full of stories. One of which I learned earlier was it right before we recorded. Tara, you were saying you were a pro wrestler.
Yes.
Whoa.
Like,
Yeah.
I want to know, how you got into that, and Jamie, how you got into bodybuilding. Like, what is just the fascination with it? So whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I actually, in college, wrote for my college newspaper, and they were having a wrestling show, and we all got typecast as writers. And they knew that I watched pro wrestling with my roommate, because hi, guys in tight pants, buff.
Agreed, yep.
I.e. Jamie.
I married well. So, I ended up having to promote this show, which was just absolutely hysterical. Like, Johnny Cashmere, the guy that was running the show, ended up going on to, he's been on dark matches on WWE a bunch of times, and so he's the one running the show, and he woke me up one night at midnight because he had to give me something, and I'm like, can you give it to me tomorrow? No! I'm in my freaking pajamas. And obviously, I had a type, so you all know what he looked like. And so he was like, no, just, come on, I'm really busy tomorrow. And I was like, fine. So I trundled down the steps. And it's like flyers for the show, and I'm like, fucking serious. I went upstairs and I put him down. I'm like, I'm not gonna murder this guy. So I end up meeting, through Johnny, his teachers in the wrestling business, because they're wrestling schools. And so I met Gary and Anthony, the Pitbulls from ECW. And
I love the way you say that, like anybody knows. Like, do you guys know what ECW is?
Oh, yeah, no.
I
got you.
It's Extreme Championship Wrestling.
It was a little production that was out in Lancaster, PA.
No, it's ECW was in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Ended up being bought by WWE.
Yeah.
Many years later.
They were badass because they were the first accessible,
and they actually started
wrestling.
in Trenton.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, did they?
Whoa.
Yes. They started in Trenton because I used to watch them on local broadcast TV.
Oh my god, that's so cool!
In high school with my boyfriend at the time, who, wow, I guess there was a further back on how I got into the wrestling business. Like, I really wanted to be the Blue Meanies valet. The chick that would, like, you know, walk him down to the ring and interfere in matches and shit like that.
Was he in EC Dub?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, he was the BWO, the Blue World Order. Yeah. Would you have been Blue also? Would you have been Blue Chaos or Tara Blue or Blue Tara?
I don't know what I would have been, honestly.
Does this involve a cape, or is it just a blue suit? What did the blue meanie
capes
look
are always
like?
an option, right?
The Blue Meanie wore, like, blue...
Like
it was ECW,
so
it was like...
So he just wore blood, probably, since it was ECW.
Yeah, well, they all wore blood.
Yeah, they all wore blood.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to be his valet, and so end up...
What would that involve? You running around the ring with a chainsaw? ECW was pretty hardcore, you know?
This
was all spiked bats and stabbing each other with broken legs.
This was back in the early years. This was back in, like, it was 96. No, it was 97 because I was a senior in high school.
They were still doing backyard wrestling hardcore shit. Like,
no, it wasn't the
It hadn't gone super hardcore yet?
No, no, it was...
I know ECW as being super duper hardcore and everybody's on fire and bloody and we've got a buddy, a mutual friend whose name is Schlack. He was in the house band for ECW called Bad Luck 13 Riot Extravaganza.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they used to start riots at shows. Like there used to be a big fest called Hellfest. It was a hardcore fest. And they got Hellfest shut down because during Last One Standing, like the fans tore down the stands and set them on fire. What? And because they used to, they burned down the first 2 or 3 venues they ever played. Yeah, they're fucking, and they're all in extreme wrestling. So, and Schlack's built exactly like me, but
with a mohawk.
He also has no he has no sense of pain, or he smokes a lot of crack, or both. And then he's just I don't know if he smokes crack, but
this is a comedy podcast. This is satire.
Bad Luck used to smoke. Bad Luck used to smoke crack back in the day. He did back in the day, but.
Wait. So Tara, I want to know. Oh, sorry. Continue.
No, that's fine. Anyway, go ahead.
So, I end up after college running away and joining a carnival.
Oh,
that's amazing.
How was that?
It was fucking awesome.
How were your parents?
How was
that conversation?
That conversation.
You grew up by Princeton, right? So
Princeton. So you grew up in Trenton? Or
no, I grew up in right outside of Princeton.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
You said Trenton earlier, high school. So I didn't know where the high school was. Okay.
It was sort of.
It was an affluent area. It's not the type of area you run off to the circus. From
the fucking circus.
Yeah.
It was the fucking carnival.
Wait, for how long? How long were you in the circus?
Carnival.
I mean, carnival. Oh my god.
She was a carny.
No.
Yeah, I was a carny.
Sorry.
She wasn't swinging on a trampoline. She was biting the heads off chickens.
She was a carny.
No, actually, I was a barker.
Sorry.
So I was in carnival for a year, and it was a year full time. And I was up at a spot in Cement Belt Fair. And it was one of those moments where, what you're thinking comes out of your mouth before you actually realize it.
Okay.
It was one of those moments. And I was sober. And I was like, Johnny? It was Johnny Cashmere from when I was in college. They were doing a wrestling show, so I met a bunch of the guys that I had seen and ended up leaving the carnival. Went to work for a DOD subcontractor. I held a secret security clearance after working at a carnival.
Flex.
Casual.
Wow. Yeah.
And, like, I got real bored and was just like, you know what? I wonder what Johnny's doing. And it was when MySpace was first kicking off.
Mm.
And he invited me to come see a show that he was running that night. And that was literally, I worked that show.
Wow.
And
So you ran away from the carnival to
actually, no. I had also tried out
That
at
is pretty rad.
Right before that, I had tried out at CZW.
Okay.
And then a whole bunch of shit happened, and then I ended up with PWU, and that's when the Blue Meanie became one of my trainers.
Nice.
Whoa.
For like 3 days, and then this whole big thing happened, and like, it was weird. So I was a wrestler for like 10 years.
Damn.
And then I took a fall wrong, and had to make a decision on, I'm never making it to WWE. I know that, because I can't tell you the name of any moves sans the full moonsault, and that was because I spent so many hours in the car with Trent Acid and Johnny Cashmere.
Because I was looking at you thinking, why in the fuck would you ever try a moonsault?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. You know what?
I just imagine all the different ways you died.
One of the part of training is
A moonsault's basically like a off the top ropes,
a backflip
to a belly flop onto the person.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, wait, what was your wrestling name?
It was Tara Murphy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry, continue. I'm also, I'm just like, I'm also like, I am like amazed by the training
so many
process.
questions?
Well, yeah. Yeah, also, I have questions about like what your thoughts are on the WWE now. Also, how it's evolved as a business or lack of evolution in some respects or regards. Like, just from the business point, from the entertainment point. Also, AEW. I have so many questions, Tara. Oh my god. Dude, this episode's gonna be so long.
I thought you said he was a wrestling fan, but you seem to know a shit about wrestling.
because listen, it's one.
If we need a part two, we'll have a part two tonight. Yeah, no
Well,
worries. It'll be a 4-hour episode.
This was a surprise treat, major thing. I have not. I totally remember, obviously, WWE when I was younger and like I think had like or knew somebody who had like action figures. Sometimes it would be on whatever. I was never so totally into it, and then Brendan started watching AEW. I mean, not started. He's been watching, and then I just like sat in and watched some of the episodes, but. Oh no, what? Are you upset? Are you mad?
No, I'm laughing my ass off because some of the guys that I used to be in the business with are now in AEW. And
Can you say
Yeah,
who?
I cannot tell you how proud I am. Like, Drew Gulak, I remember him.
She was going nuts.
when
We saw him
he
the other
was
day.
like 12.
Was he?
I am that fucking old.
He was wrestling then, or like you met him before he
He
started
was
wrestling?
hanging out at the CZW wrestling school. And he and his brother they were fucking sponges for wrestling.
Wow.
It's like the kids now in American Ninja Warrior. Like, I don't know if you guys watch it at all, but they started allowing, I think as young as like 15.
Oh, I did not.
They're
know
fucking
that.
killing. They're
Holy
killing
shit! Wholesale
They're in the finals,
slaughter of
killing
the old heads.
Wow.
and making it. They're having fun.
Yeah,
That's-
and so
That's the thing. They're actually having fun, and the
There's-
older people who are training with them are having fun, and they're kicking ass.
Yeah.
Everybody else is taking it way too seriously and fucking up.
And
Oh my
so
God.
Yeah.
there was a time in the actually basically in the 90s into the 2000s when I started wrestling that there were wrestling schools and like they weren't really allowed to train kids under the age of 18, but they could sort of train them. And so these kids just started absorbing this knowledge like a fucking sponge.
Mm-hmm.
And so that generation of wrestlers are now in WWE. They're in AEW. They're in TNA, NXT. Like, these are people that grew up with the business as an open business. Not as, like, the territories and shit, like, where everything was very insular. So you could be, like, a kid from fucking San Diego, one of my friends, you know, that ends up on the world stage where, like, our parents' generation never had that because it was still a carnival business.
Yeah. That's why it was like interesting that like the jump from the carnival business to like because like people do kind of consider wrestling like a carny business because there's a lot of like
it always was
because all of the politics and like the,
Well, it
and,
wasn't
the
all.
behind the scenes stuff.
It became one in the 20s, in the 1920s.
You mean because of it, like its use or significance in entertainment? Like
it's significance in entertainment.
It's like it got you. Okay. Oh yeah, but I also
wrestling was a part of carnivals historically, and actually there's like the idea that mixed martial arts started in the 90s is silly. I mean, they had mixed martial arts in the United States back in the 1800s, and it was called catch-as-catch-hand wrestling. And that's what when carnivals would come through town, they'd always have a wrestler, and the wrestlers would always let people challenge them from the crowd, and like $500 or whatever, you know, $50 or whatever if you could beat this guy. And so these like huge hulking farmers and just guys with huge sausage fingers, and they would just come and try to like break your fingers or snap your nose, stuff like that. Fish hooks, eye gouge, all terrible stuff, but. And in the South, they used to gouge each other's eyes out all the time.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and so
By the way, do you hear him discussing this in glowing terms? But he absolutely cannot stand deathmatch wrestling.
well, I think
the same goddamn.
No,
thing.
I just find this fascinating that these idiots would gouge each other's eyes out. But I'm not suggesting that that's a great idea. But in any event, so the wrestlers would come through with the carnival, and that's how professional wrestling in the United States. Those guys were catch-as-catch-can wrestlers, and they would wrestle like Germans and Russians who would wrestle with Greco, and those styles combined to make the style that is now modern professional wrestling.
Yeah.
But the matches weren't pre-decided until around the 1920s when. I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head, but he realized that having a stable of badass wrestlers who constantly fought each other was a better idea than having a bunch of badasses come in and wrestle jobbers and just beat up on people or have really fast or boring matches. So he realized that, but then at the same time, you can't have these guys beating each other to death in the ring. So they started having works where... You know, you're pulling punches, and you were doing this, and you were doing that, so it was less damaging to the guys, so they could do it night after night. And that eventually evolved into professional wrestling.
Yeah.
What is the name of the wrestler who's in mind blanking in Princess Bride?
Oh, Andre the Giant. Yeah.
I think that's also was an introduction to wrestling when watching that movie, but then just like hearing my parents talk about it, and I was like, "Who is that?"
Yeah, because certain people break out into the mainstream like that.
Yeah.
And also,
and the Rock,
really funny one.
Yeah.
I guess the earliest is like me, like 5 or 6 years old, like wanting to be Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So she met Sergeant Slaughter
multiple times.
He is in love with
Sergeant.
her.
Yeah,
he is in love with her.
I love him just as much.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a wrestler or a set of wrestlers that you say your style is inspired by, or that you like take from in like in a ring in like the in the way that like you choose moves or the way that you like put matches together?
See, I was the jobber, so and I can say that completely honestly. I knew that I was never going to get anywhere. Just based off of laws of statistics. And so, like, all of my matches were to put, like, girls in our group over.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I worked with, like, Antisocial a lot. Now I can't remember her name. Roxy. And I think she was on either AEW or WWE or...
She was definitely on AEW because I remember looking her up when you mentioned her once, but I don't remember what her name was.
Oh, yeah, I think you ran into her at GNC or something.
Yeah, so every time I meet indie wrestlers, they always think that I'm a wrestler, and I'm always looking at them like, you're well, that's adorable. So there are two very distinct types of wrestlers. They're the wrestlers that I grew up with, who are athletes, who go into wrestling because they're athletes, and when they press slam people, they are pressing that human being over their head by their own power, and then throwing them wherever they want. And so that's what I'm used to, and I didn't even realize, I mean, obviously it's helped, but Ultimate Warrior, like, when he press slammed people, he just jerked them overhead. He didn't need them to help. Same with the Legion of Doom. They just threw them overhead and then dropped them on their face. And so that's what I grew up with, and that's the guys that I always idolized. I didn't even know that the drama nerd type of wrestler even existed. I had no earthly conception of that until I met her. And then I was like, how is that even happening? But it happens. It is happening in front of my eyes, and I still don't believe it. I'm just like, how does that even... but I'm amazed that it goes from a drama nerd to a backflip, like a Jack dude doing backflip off the top ropes. I'm like, that's a fucking cool evolution.
Yeah.
And it's such a different evolution to the same end, and I love it.
Yes. Yeah, I had a teacher in college who he's like it's theater in the round, but it's also like an athletics, like it's kind of cool. It's like a little bit of both, and it's like it's a very unique
it's
entertainment.
I have to say it is brutal on your body.
Yes.
That's why I'm so impressed. That's why I got excited when you said it, because I was just like, oh my god, it's a female wrestler. Like you're a wrestler just like any other wrestler. But I'm saying like there is kind of like, for me, just being a woman, there's just more excitement. It's also it's very hot. Like it's women are very, like, I don't like just their endurance and their stamina, or just how they're able to like of course it's like cool to watch the guys and everything, but sometimes I feel like the women fights like they look more dangerous. I don't know. I don't understand how to do it.
The funny thing is that outside of Roxy and Annie and Amy Lee, Mickey Knuckles, like there was just a group that we worked with frequently. I wrestled guys because the early 2000s was the beginning of the high flyers, which, like, that was the generation coming up with me. And the problem was I was bigger than most of the guys.
You grew up in the generation of China.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she actually wrestled dudes.
Yeah.
She was stronger than Triple H.
Yeah.
When they dated.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of like, that's like a topic in wrestling. There's like different promotions have different feelings about like intergender wrestling. Like, what are your, because a lot of women said that they train with men, so it's like why, and like also like the whole thing is that you're not trying to hurt each other. It's just you're working together, right?
Yeah, like there's a certain level of mutual respect, and there's a certain level of trust that goes into allowing people to manipulate your body in ways that can have devastating consequences.
How did you injure yourself?
I took a fall wrong. I was training with somebody.
You were training with somebody who was all fucked up on pills or something, right?
So I was gonna ask, what the fall wrong, was that a disruption in the trust or the misrespect or that, or just like someone wasn't paying
I
attention?
jammed the top 2 vertebrae into my skull.
Jesus.
2 years ago, I couldn't walk.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you're recovery. You're fucking
Oh,
walking. Like
yeah.
that's. Oh my god.
I have spent a very large amount of money.
GH
Shout
and
out.
chiropractors. GH and chiropractors will do the trick.
Yeah, well, no, actually.
But weed does help though.
Yeah, weed helps as well. Actually, the GH was just the first month. And then everything after that was my body healing itself. Thank God.
Did you do physical therapy?
No, I went to a chiropractor up
They-
in
okay.
Pennington, actually.
Okay.
And,
Hmm.
you know, came highly recommended by my best friend from, I don't know, early high school. Which, you know, this is putting us at quarter-century friendships now. Which is a little scary.
The really cool thing
Yeah.
about him
Wow.
is that so at least that I've ever, every girl that I've ever dated, the doctors that they have never listen to them. And it seems to be getting worse. And her doctors never fucking listen to her. And this guy finally actually, because I sat there because I was like, somebody's going to fix her neck or I'm going to start breaking some, like one or the other. And so
Yeah.
I'd had enough because doctors don't listen. And so I sat there and he was listening and he actually listened. And I was like, and then everything
Yeah.
I'm somewhat skeptical of chiropractic, knowing the history of it, and they tend to quackery sometimes. So, you know, I don't go to Reiki and that sort of thing, but I knew that she had an issue with her neck that needed to be fixed. And this man was able to help us diagnose it and help fix it, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
great.
was-
That's incredible.
Yeah, it literally was. I mean, the only lasting effect I have is I've had a migraine for 3 years. Except for 3 months where I had Botox. Greatest shit in the world. I looked so young and my head didn't hurt and it was just the greatest thing ever.
Oh wow. So what, knowing that risk, like what advice would you give to young kids coming up who want to go into wrestling?
Follow your fucking dreams. Because, I mean, I can get run over walking out of here.
Very true.
You know? Like...
Knock on wood, let's hope that doesn't happen. Oh my god.
Yeah, that
After this
that was
recording,
awesome.
oh no, please don't make this the last place you go.
Park on behind busy roads. Walk a mile if you have to.
She's already made the RIP graphic in her head. I don't know how to spell their last names.
Which is hysterical because, like, my brain immediately went to that USA show with The Miz and their RIP scenes.
Oh, so there's a show. So we have a couple. Now we've settled on 3 awesome high shows. The one we're on now is Extreme Water Parks because it's just gorgeous people
I've seen
going
that,
down
yeah.
water slides, and it's just giggling gorgeous people. It's all hot ass guys and girls going down water slides, and we're like, we could fucking get high. We watch it on repeat. We're so high we don't even care. We did it with Dodgeball Thunderdome, which it's the Dodgeball Thunderdome guy he's a famous YouTuber, but I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He's pretty well hated.
TLC.
Yeah, David Dobrik.
Okay.
I don't know. He's
Look it up.
rich. But the show's amazing, and it's just a ridiculous combination of dodgeball and an obstacle course.
Wait, where do you watch this?
That one's on
TLC.
USA or
Oh,
TLC, and then on
TLC.
USA they have one that's what the fuck is that show called with the Miz?
Oh yeah.
The Miz hosts-
Ms. and Mrs.?
No, it's
No, it
it's
was-
people going down these crazy ass water slides and then seeing how like far they can get, or like seeing if they can hit a target in midair with their face. But they're all going 100 miles an hour into a lake, and they're going. I mean, and they measure the distance, so it's like, oh well, he only went 27 feet high, but he did go 58 feet, and it's like they land with their face first, like back bent over in the water. We'll just put it on repeat. We don't care.
I'm
It's
looking
just
this up. This is insane.
Yeah, what the hell's the show called?
Oh my god.
And his co-host is a gorgeous Latina woman from, she did like a New York radio or something like that. So, I mean, it's just...
Cannonball.
That show's amazing. It's on USA.
Okay.
And so those are our 3 high shows. And because I
Only
learn...
2, right?
I learn...
No, it was dodgeball, it was
he named the same one
cannonball,
twice.
and...
Dodgeball? No, it's dodgeball, cannonball, and extreme water polo.
Extreme
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And because I
forgot the
learn
Athens
obsessively
cities.
during the day, so I force myself, like, I have to stop thinking at night. I, like, won't write anymore, listen to any more podcasts or whatever. So,
No, he just endlessly spews the information.
the bodybuilder, I have to tell you guys.
Because it allows him to process.
Oh, well, I'll tell you after.
Right.
Well, you told your story, right? So the bodybuilder that I wanted to tell you about, the only one I wanted to tell you about, is this guy Wesley Williams. He was the first. His nickname at the time was Negro Hercules. He was the first black officer in the New York Fire Department. He actually had a clean and jerk, which is like the Olympic lift where you go from the floor to here and then you go overhead. His was 100 pounds heavier than the national record at the time, even though he didn't compete. He had a clean and jerk of 350. And he was super jacked. He was 5'8" and like 195. Had these big arms. He was an actual bodybuilder. Whoa. So he became a mailman, and his dad was famous. His dad was the head of the Bell Caps, who were like the porters for everybody in Grand Central Station. So it was like he was friends with Teddy Roosevelt. So Teddy Roosevelt wrote Wesley Williams' letter of recommendation, but they still wouldn't let him into the New York Fire Department because they were racists and they hated black people. So they like waitlisted him. He was the second person to ever score a perfect on their physical exam, and he scored 37th out of 2,700 people on the written exam, even though he had dropped out of school right after grammar school. He went to 1 year of trade school and was like, fuck this, I just like to read. So he just started reading and lifting weights, and he became a mailman, and then he became a fireman. And so as he was becoming a fireman, there were 4 guys at his gym who lifted with him, who were like these old black dudes who actually turned out to be Hall of Fame boxers. They were Negro boxers who never got their due. And there were 4 of them in the Hall of Fame, taught him how to fight, so that when he went into the fire department, he could, every day he had to, some Irish guy or an Italian guy, because everybody was Irish or Italian, be like, hey, you and Bob, and like, I'm whatever to your mom, or what, like, just saying shit, and you had to go in the basement and fight. If you didn't go into the basement and fight, like, they would just kick you out, basically. So every day he had to fight these guys, and he would just trash them over and over. So they started bringing these, like, giant Central Europeans and all kinds of people. He's beating the brakes off everybody. He goes to a fire, and a Czech guy attacked him on the roof of a building. He choked him out while saving somebody. Then they finally said, fuck him, we're going to burn him up. And they abandoned him in the basement of a building holding a fire hose by himself. He put out the whole fucking thing by himself, holding the fire hose by himself, showed back up, and he was like, I want to fucking transfer, fuck all these guys. And they wouldn't let him transfer. Whoa. But they promoted him. So he became a lieutenant, and he ended up I think a battalion commander or something like that. It was like in the highest echelon of the officers you could get in the New York Fire Department. And he lived to be 84, or he was born in 1897, so it was his life expectancy was 33 when he was born, and he lived to be like 84 or 86. Wow. Like, the dude was so cool, and he was still jacked when he was 80. So I just posted this. I'll give you the graphic, but I posted this picture of him at like 21 and at 80, and he's like, I mean, he looked like he was 80, but he looked like a 60-year-old man, basically. But a jacked 60-year-old man.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was cool. So I had to talk about that guy because
that at least
somewhat satisfies the challenge, because that guy is round enough for 86, and I had already named a bunch. So
thank you. No, thank you. What a gift of information.
Yeah, Wesley Williams is his name, and his dad's name was James Williams.
God,
so yeah, super cool, and it's such cool New York history you don't know about. And I learned about like the Harlem YMCA. So I go down to research rabbit holes, and That's how I learn everything that I learned.
What is research rabbit holes?
I will
What is research?
research.
Research.
Oh,
You
wait.
said
I thought that was like a specific
It's an app.
app, and I was like,
No,
hell
no,
yeah!
no,
like,
no.
I need to
No,
download this.
There's no app.
Weed search. You get really high and you just search and get a bunch of shit and go down those wormholes.
You mean Google?
That's what happens. Yeah, no, that's what people do.
basically.
We're living to also just obtain information, and you're
And we
living
live in
such a- we
the
have to,
perfect
yeah,
time you can
to
learn
get anything you want. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I love how you said that in the beginning of the podcast. Oh my god, I'm sorry, that's just crazy.
Oh, you wanted me to tell you real quick?
Yeah, but you're like, because I'm sure you know so much. Both of you guys are like encyclopedias, obviously in each of your own craft.
Neither of us had any friends growing up, so
And-
I
and
read the
by the
I read
way-
the encyclopedia constantly as a
By
child,
the way,
and then I got a DUI,
I've
and I read the
lost
encyclopedia
a
again
large
as an
amount
adult.
of my memory because of
Yeah.
so
yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
the
Yeah,
amount
Yeah,
of
that's interesting.
like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just so funny because you guys were sort of giggling about the fact that we talk at the same time all the time.
Yeah, we watch documentaries together constantly.
And our strengths and our weaknesses overlap in such a way that it's sort of a cool give and take. Where
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
complement each other
Yeah.
that way through. Yeah.
And we know when I'm pushing, she knows she can back off a little bit and coast a bit and rest a bit. And then when I peter out, and like recently, I've been going so hard. Sometimes I get caught up and I just can't stop going hard at everything, and I just fell to pieces. And she picked up the slack for me, and we do that constantly for each
and
other.
made
It really
fun
helps.
of him the
She
entire
did.
time.
Because I didn't listen to her when she told me that. She just kept being
Holy
like, "You're gonna
man
fall to pieces."
flew.
Wow.
Yeah. Wait, so how did
That's
the
a good
two of you guys
balance.
meet?
On
What's your
Facebook.
Facebook.
Wow.
I was asking
So,
for a
it-
share. Oh,
Yeah, so it was a series of weird coincidences. That I was supposed to go down to St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands for my birthday. And then Maria hit.
Mm.
And I had seen Jamie pop up on a couple of my friends' statuses, 2 different friends. It's like, ah, fuck, cool. And he was looking for a charity to help everybody after Maria. And I piped in because at that point in time I had shipped, I think it was 2 pallets down to St. Croix.
of like
Supplies.
supplies and stuff.
Yeah. Out of my own money, out of my family's money. Like some of my friends donated some shit, but not very much.
So it was
And
like this-
I had friends down there.
Yeah.
This dude I had dated with this girl. Ooh, that was a disaster. But we were. Are you guys a couple?
We're
Yes.
a couple, just
Oh,
us
okay.
two.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. I didn't
We
know.
joke that he's our adult son.
Oh, okay. I didn't
No,
know
if
if you
he-
guys were all a couple, and I was like, well, good luck to you, but whatever.
Because yeah.
Go on and get it. But
Yeah.
So
Wait,
so
are
on
we
it-
allowed to ask questions about that?
Yeah, but on his recommendation, that's how I met her, and then she suggested a charity for my company to donate to, because we had extra money that we just like to run charitable things like, oh well, this weekend we'll just give 20, whatever the profits are, we're giving them to this charity. And my business partner, who I can't stand, always was doing it to like Wounded Warrior, all that basic white people shit. And I'm just like, let's give it to the fucking ASPCA, like just to no kill shelters. I don't care who else gets it. But then when Katrina hit or whatever it was, I was like, yeah, let's give it to the people in the Caribbean, because nobody's giving them shit. Like they just pretended like Puerto Rico never happened. And I was like, yeah, let's give it to. And then Puerto Rico got money, but the Virgin Islands didn't get shit.
Yeah.
So then I was like, let's give them money.
What had happened was after Linda? I can't remember the first hurricane that came across. It only hit St. John and St. Thomas. And so what St. Croix did was they loaded all their personal boats. And they ferried everything up. And then 2 weeks later, when I think it was 3 days before they were supposed to get their shipment.
Oh, they ferried up supplies to the people who had lost them in
St.
shit,
Thomas,
and then they got hit by a hurricane.
And then they got hit by a hurricane. So St. Croix was fucking decimated.
Damn.
And so that was how we ended up meeting, and it was fun.
In person? At
No, and then so that's how we met
No.
online, and then in person, she lived in Jersey and I lived in
Allentown.
God, I lived in Allentown. It was I don't even like saying that sentence. But anyway, she picked me up and we met in halfway in Philadelphia, and then we went to New Hope and she got a tattoo. Well, she was
I was supposed to get a tattoo.
she was supposed to get a tattoo, but her tattoo artist forgot about it. So we just like
you're
went
supposed to do a
walking
lot
around-
of things.
we went walking around. We went walking around New Hope and did all that. Just walked
Yeah.
around New Hope, and that's where I got New Hope. I'd only been to New Hope when I got my PA. So since that was now I met you, and I got a PA in New Hope. There you go.
That's
Yeah.
adorable.
It's adorable.
That's so cool. That's such a unique but lovely connection. Making that online and then meeting up in person, and you guys have. Oh my god, yeah. And you just like saunter, and you just like, yep, checks.
We were both a disaster at the time. So we were basically two drowning
Makes
people
sense.
who were like, it was we
From
pretty
what
much
you're
like
saying,
grabbed
yeah.
the same log, and we were like, hey, you kick for a little while, and then I'll kick for a little while. How's
Isn't that? But
We
isn't that
bear-
amazing
Yeah.
that that's how you meet your person? Or,
Yeah.
or at least ours, like situation specifically, Jordan and I. It's definitely when I needed that person at that time and that companion, and like still now being together. I don't know. It's just funny how timing works.
Yeah.
It is.
The-
You're just
the
like you could be
funniest-
at your lowest point, and then
Yeah, well,
That's
the funniest
But
thing
you have
is-
to. I think to be at that lowest, you still both have to work towards a common goal.
yes. No, true.
And
Yeah,
we
no,
didn't
no,
really
no.
have a specific goal. It was just towards us both getting our heads above the water, basically.
And quite honestly, I think for the first 2 years of our relationship, we actually probably hated each other.
Yeah, we didn't like each other much. It was just we needed each other, and so we just
Yeah, neither of us would give up on the other
we
one.
did not like each other though. And then
But like there was
Wait,
something
we've
that
been together
we
about-
So
both-
what was it that switched? Or you still don't like each other?
no, we
I'm kidding.
we
So
both,
what was it? Yeah, that switch. That
we stopped being shitheads.
That's
great.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and shortly thereafter, weed.
Yeah. But it was we made a conscious decision to we started volunteering. I had become a recluse living this. I lived in the South for a while, and it drove me crazy. And I like
Where
that
in the
story I
South?
told you
where?
about. So I got my MBA. I got one of them in Austria, and then they got which was awesome, and then the other half at the
So
University.
very south.
The university,
Yeah.
no, Austria, and then the University of South Carolina, which was
Austria, the
Yeah,
the
You have to
country.
go around the globe.
Yeah. But University of South Carolina for the shitty half of that, and then George Bush blew up the economy, and well, he did. It wasn't his fault, but 2008 happened, and so nobody could get a fucking job. So I was like installing office furniture and shit, and took a Hail Mary job in Birmingham as a software programmer. Like doing SQL database programming. I bullshitted my way into that job. Had never even fucking... I didn't even know really what SQL was when I bullshitted my way into that job, but I needed a job. And I got it, and I taught myself SQL there, and I went insane because I couldn't speak to anybody. I kept getting thrown out of bars for reading, like I told you guys.
Yeah, that's you got thrown out of a bar for reading.
Five bars, and then I got thrown out of a bar. I got thrown out of a
more
bar.
than likely belligerently drunk.
Was it?
I wasn't speaking. I was just reading.
They were threatened by
Yes.
you?
And then the last,
So lower educated
the one where I went,
Dangerous.
the one where I went to jail was, it started because the guy said, "I know why you're reading at this bar," and I was like, "Oh, why is that?" you think you're better than us? And I was like, the fact that I'm better than you has nothing to do. Well, it has something to do with why I'm reading, but that's not why. It's just because I like to read.
But
And
is
then-
it because you look the way you look? They thought you were. Yeah, I don't know.
I think I make people. So this is something I came to realize from one of our neighbors saying it. I thought it would make me more approachable if people saw me reading and like I sit on my porch and like reading and petting my cats, and I got 4 cats and I'm like Ace Ventura, and like, so cats are just skipping all around me. Dogs will run up to me out of nowhere, and so I thought that would make me more approachable, but it just makes me more terrifying to my neighbors.
Yeah.
I don't understand why, but like,
so
yeah. And if you had an animal, you would see I don't have the ability to talk to an animal normally. So I talk in this crazy little goofy voice, and like I will just forget that you exist, and just then your animal will love me forever.
Mm-hmm.
Our neighbor hates it because her dog like barely acknowledges that she's there. But if he thinks that I'm even walking through the alley, he has to be outside because he wants to love on me, and I love on him. So
Yeah.
And he literally like does backflips when he sees us.
he gets so excited. He's the best.
Do you guys have a pet?
Tiny though.
We have 4 cats.
Oh, together, right? Oh, okay. No dogs, just.
Yeah,
cats.
I grew up with dogs, and we switched
so
to
we
cats.
dog sit, and that's quite enough for us.
Oh, got you.
Because every goddamn time we dog sit, we're like, never again. And then one of our friends is like, oh my god, can you watch Puppy? And I'm like, sure.
Oh, I forgot to ask you, Terry. Last question for the wrestling thing, but if you could change something today, like now, about WWE, what would that be?
I mean, other than
I
them bringing up, I'm blanking.
I have hot goss about this. I have very hot goss. I have straight from Martin today. So I'm friends with Martin Stone, Danny Burch
Oh, who's
in
he?
NXT.
Oh yeah.
And so the WWE has declared that anyone under 6'3" is not getting hired now, and they've started purging everybody under
To be 200
6'3".
pounds also in order to get
What?
hired.
And they're going back to the big ones, and now they're getting rid. So they finally have talkers in the NXT, people who can the rap battling on the fucking mic. Now they're getting rid of all those people because unless they can make it in the big show, they don't want them in NXT now. So they're all going to the Indies, which will be good for the Indies. But God, I mean, the guy who can rap in NXT.
They'll go to AEW. They'll go to.
So is AEW considered indie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
they're
it's like
a big indie.
The only
Yeah.
major one is WWE, right? Is that
Correct.
they basically could
They have-
cover
Now
this?
there's TNA.
No,
Including
well,
everybody else.
WWE has the largest market share.
Right.
Or whatever
yes.
TNA is
And
called.
after
Impact,
that
right?
is
Yeah.
TNA, whatever it is. Yeah. Honestly, I stopped paying attention when Homicide stopped working for them. Although I think he does still work for
Yeah,
them.
I think he does. I think he's back. Yeah.
Yeah. No, actually, come to think of it, I just saw something about he was back.
Yeah, there are wrestlers
I
that are
love
like
him.
that are coming back now. Because I think there is like an interesting market, and like I think, especially with like AEW and like some of these other promotions, like really getting a lot of exposure, kind of like all working together now. Like there are wrestlers that are like, you know what, I gotta have it because like the WWE was the only option, but it's nice that there's more options out there.
Yeah, and they allow a bigger exploration of like each wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
Who they?
like the smaller promotions.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Mhm.
So that's really, really cool. At least to me, like they're it's not just Triple H and Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
So Triple H, by the way, was the one who was trying to keep the thing going that they have going now.
Yeah.
But Vince this just happened like in the last week.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, Triple H is in hot water now because now he got blamed for losing the Wednesday Night Wars.
they changed the drug policy
Yeah.
somewhat too. So
Yeah, yo,
they can use ephedrine now.
they're doing a mini series
Yeah.
about Vince McMahon and like the court hearing with the steroid scandal, but it's like I think it's like produced by Vince McMahon. I think.
Yeah. So is that the thing you would like to change about wrestling? Is that an answer? I'm assuming you're not fans of Vince McMahon. You're not fan, or are you? Because also, I mean, I don't know, with the stuff that comes out of like how he doesn't take care of the people, and obviously how he runs the place. But also that, I mean, as a wrestler, you're still an independent contractor. You're not like, what is the, right, with the...
They have medical care now. The WWE, at NXT, Martin tore his ACL and they paid for everything. Mm-hmm. He's still on the payroll while he's rehabbed, they paid for everything. So it's not as nefarious. I mean, I'm not saying that it's great, but they also all have action figures now, so it's better than it was.
I have horror stories.
But it's better.
From the 90s and 2000s of wrestlers.
So it's definitely improved.
It is improved significantly.
I feel like you don't like the current state of wrestling. Based on the way you asked the question.
No.
Because you really ripped off a whole... So what is your opinion of the state of wrestling currently?
No, I don't think I know enough of it, to be honest. I don't think I have a huge... I just feel like things can always be better and get better. I'm not saying it's worse than it was before. I know, like, it was bad back then. It's definitely not the same.
Yeah, once
they
bring back steroids, I think
it is not the same.
Yeah.
But I was just curious because he's just specifically Vince McMahon, and just like what I've heard about like him and how he operates is just like, and also him and his family have just run it for very, very long. So I don't know, anytime somebody runs something in a family business for a very long period of time and it gets this big, there's usually some sort of shady ass thing behind it, or what's the asshole stuff
you
about
have to
it,
understand, Vince McMahon was raised in the wrestling business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He also created this industry the way it is now. We wouldn't know these people the way we do.
It's true. Mm-hmm. It's true.
The wrestling business and being a carny go hand in hand. So, like, I hate to say it, but professional courtesy.
Yeah, like, I was just asking just because I was curious.
He is doing stuff for old wrestlers now too, but he's buying memorabilia for the Hall of Fame. So he seems to like. There's new documentaries on A&E. I don't know if you guys have seen them.
Yeah, with
the biographies and
and
then so there's biographies on old wrestlers, and like Ultimate Warrior redeemed himself. They're really, really good. But then there's a show where he's buying up memorabilia.
Yes, like going around like looking for and like going to people's houses.
Yeah,
where they have
so he gets old wrestlers history and gives them a stack of cash.
Is it a shit show? It's like
I don't understand how you could take like finding the fucking Undertaker's like very first mask and make it fucking boring. It's the goddamn Undertaker.
Not even like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys have favorite wrestlers that you like enjoy watching more than others?
Danny Burch, obviously. I'm partial to the guys that I fucking came up with. Mm-hmm. I really am.
Trent Acid is the name you've said the most.
Yeah, well, Verdi was my trainer. Like, I spent every day with him for 5 or 6 years straight.
He was a hell of a high flyer.
Mm-hmm.
He was a hell of a dude, too.
So is he your pick?
Mm-mm. No, if I have to say absolute favorite wrestler, I mean, understanding that The Rock has superseded all boundaries and is all-knowing and all-seeing.
Yes.
And
Rock for president, Rock for God, Rock for everything.
Did you watch his show, by the way, the Young Rock show?
No, we did not.
Yes, there's like a scripted series where it's like 3 different parts of his life. It's like him as like a little boy, him as a teenager in high school, and then him as like a college athlete. Yeah, it's on NBC. But then he also plays himself in the future running for president of the United States.
Oh my god!
Yes. Yeah, so they
put it out into the universe.
So it's like a show, but also it's also kind of a campaign for running for president.
He's mentioned it. Oh, I can't wait.
You know, it's
he
about
will be
time.
the best looking president.
Yeah, we have a president that looks like that.
Oh, that portrait!
Come on.
Oh man, that's gonna be a nice portrait.
Like Russia gets Putin, but The Rock is way right. Dwayne Johnson's way taller than Putin. Putin's short, right?
Yeah,
like he's how tall? 6'5".
Is starting to fucking sack.
You know what's amazing about him though? He's still best friends and business partners with bodybuilder ex-wife Gladys Portuguese.
Put it on the list.
Yeah, who they started a competitor to the biggest bodybuilding competition on the planet. I don't remember what it's called. It got stalled because of COVID, but still, like he's still best friends with his ex-wife, which I think is a measure of a good person.
That's true.
Yeah, he really is a rad guy.
He's just so impressed. Sorry,
he's so
yes,
gorgeous.
The bodybuilding thing. Yes, what drew you to that? Before I forget that we were going so many.
The first question.
So many different tangents. I know.
So I'll give you just
whatever. We're high. This is how conversations go.
So it wasn't anything I wanted to do for a living or anything like that. When I was a little kid, I was always a very energetic kid. But then in middle school, I got chubby. I was kind of a dickhead. My parents weren't getting along. Whatever.
And where did you grow up?
In this very, very rich area of Philly it's by Villanova University.
Wait, what place?
Radnor.
Okay.
Wayne, PA, I don't know, the main line.
I knew somebody on the main line.
Oh, okay, yeah. So,
yeah.
So, like, I didn't even own a pair of jeans in college the first 2 years. I just owned khakis. Like, that's the area. And everybody was so preppy and all that. And,
yeah, he was Abercrombie and fuck that bitch.
Yeah, but, but anyway, so in 7th grade.
How many times have you used that line? That's such a good line.
In 7th grade, I was in Boy Scouts, and we went on this canoe trip in the Adirondacks, and for 2 weeks, because I hate fish, for 2 weeks I just lived on peanut butter sandwiches and paddled a canoe. And when I came back, I had little muscles, and my mom was like, "Oh my god!" Like my mom went crazy about my muscles, and I think that kind of put it in my head. That kind of put it in my head. I think that like, oh well, hey, that's pretty cool. And then in high school,
He-Man.
Yeah. And then as a kid growing up, my mom always used to make me watch He-Man. He-Man and G.I.
And
Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Like they were always on back to back, but they taught good morals. And so my mom, because I was so energetic, my mom this was before ADD, like anybody said anything about ADD, and she was like, "Let's keep Jamie out of jail." Like, you know,
this kid
he's too smart for his own good and has too much energy. And
He still does.
so in high school, we had to do a bench press test for like football, and I got pinned like just 135, just went straight to my chest, and I couldn't move it, and everybody laughed at me, and I started lifting weights that day. That's when I started lifting weights, and because next year I wanted to do well in the test, and also it sucks to be laughed at, and also I was a tiny little guy. I'm 5'4", and I was 135 pounds, and I was playing football, so I better lift weights. So yeah, and then I love lifting weights. It's never been I guess at times everything's a compulsion, but it's just something I love doing. And then because I've been such a nerd my entire life, like I said, I used to read the encyclopedia and stuff. We moved constantly, so I never really developed a group of friends. My dad was an investment banker, and so I always had to impress the new, as the new kid, so I always had to be awesome at everything. So had to be the fastest and this and that, and then I got kind of burned out on that and was a chubby kid for a while, and then went back to just trying to be the best at everything because I was always the new kid, and like I never fit in with anyone because I was too nerdy for the jocks and too much of a jock for the nerdy kids, and I listened to hardcore, so like the metal kids didn't like me and the punk kids didn't like me, and it was just like, god damn. But I never really feel like I fit in anywhere anyway, so
But you feel like bodybuilding became part of your identity.
Yeah, it's just
But I wouldn't even say it's bodybuilding. Like, bodybuilding...
I just like lifting weights.
Yeah.
I really...
So it's just like...
He literally just likes picking up...
I
shit.
got a world record in powerlifting just to prove a point. and
Point was it?
yeah, it was a 40-year-old
Twice?
world record.
Wow.
There was a 40-year-old. There were 40-year-old records, and nobody had touched them. And I had been writing for my friends on the internet. That's how I became like the historian that I am now. I would get drunk and write articles for my friends about all the shit I'd read. Well, I'd get drunk at Barnes & Noble, read books, and take copious notes on them. And I had stacks of note cards, and that's
Sounds
what I
like
did.
drunk history.
Yeah.
But that's how I drove I went crazy. But that's what I was doing. I was taking notes in books, and so my friends got sick of me just telling them random shit. So they were like, just write it down so we can read it. And so this became popular, and then people started talking shit that I didn't know what I was talking about because I didn't compete. So I competed once, and I came within 15 pounds of like the most that anybody had done in the last 10 years. And it was only 115 pounds away from the record that had stood for 40. And I was like, well, that'll be easy to beat. But they were so fucking boring, these meets. I would read through the whole thing. I'd start drinking during the deadlifts, and I'd always be drunk at the end of the deadlifts. And then I'd drive myself home drunk because
How? Dude, what?
I hate powerlifting so much. It's so it's 12 hours to lift 9 times. It is the most boring fucking thing in the world. Lifting's something I really like to do, but I go really hard for 45 minutes and I get the fuck on with my life. I want to go back to reading or fucking or writing or painting or whatever.
Diet, are you on any special kind of diet?
So I had this special diet called the Apex Predator diet. It was meat on the bone combined with protein shakes, and it works really, really well. It's kind of a combination of the paleo diet and the keto diet. And I had postulated that eating meat on the bone, because it's such a primeval thing, that it would make you more aggressive. And actually, science proved that like 2 years later. With they did a study on British children, and whether they gave them, for a couple of years, they gave them chicken nuggets or chicken wings on the bone. And the kids who ate the wings on the bone were both more intelligent and more aggressive than the ones who ate the chicken nuggets. So, but now mostly I just drink like 6 protein shakes a day, and then 2 meals I eat literally everything that I can get in front of me.
What are your thoughts on the documentary? Have you seen it, Game Changer? That came out about, was that the plant-based diet, Jordan?
Yeah.
For
weightlifters and like athletes,
that's strongman in there. I've looked up. Wasn't there a strongman in there, a vegan strongman?
Yeah, I think there was a vegan strongman.
Yeah, he was that ambiguously brown, like The Rock or whatever. He's kind of vaguely Arabic looking. Well, he's all bullshit. All of his alleged competitions are bullshit. All his claims are bullshit, and he's not that strong. I love the idea, because I love animals to death, and I feel badly when my cats kill birds, and we've managed to teach most of them. We've managed to teach them to play with them mostly. They play with them. The one bites so hard that she just will sit there crunching on them.
Feral.
Yeah, and she crunches on them like she's chewing on gum, and she just is wagging her tail and purring and just crunching on her bird. But I would love.
Oh, by the way, he's scared of birds.
I just don't like birds.
Why?
She has 2 birds, and I take care of birds. I take care of those birds.
Parakeets.
Yeah, they're parakeets.
Oh, wow.
And
they've lasted a very long time, because I got them before I got him.
I take really good care of them. Wow. But I really don't like birds. I've never. Yeah, they're dinosaurs. I get it.
We not impressed at all.
We won. I for a few years I dieted on dinosaur and beef ribs, and dinosaur is delicious.
I was just curious because, there was just other research and studies coming out for that diet for weightlifting, for being plant-based or whatever. So I was just curious what your thoughts were.
It's a nice idea. It's not. It is a really nice idea, and I appreciate the ethical side of it, and I can't wait for vat-grown meat to be both tasty and readily available, and we're not far off.
5 years.
Let's just stop pretending like plant-based diets are going to save the world, because humans only eat plant-based diets in famines. That's the only time. That's the only time in history.
Well, we can't.
Well, that is
already
a good sign though. That you
Even-
can eat lentils.
Even
basically
going
live
back to
But
the
people have to. There's just a balance, though.
Yes.
People are never gonna stop eating meat. You
Yeah.
have to still eat because we just mass produce all the farm animals and all the.
and
Also, they
I
create
feel
CO2
so
to
badly
eat
about
them.
that. There's a book by Don LePan called I think it's called Animals, and it's in this world where all of the livestock has died off and all the pets have died off, and so we have humans that we use for livestock. Anyone who's deemed defective, basically mentally defective people. And this kid is, well, I hate, that's what they called them in the book. I'm not calling them mentally defective. They were, mentally retarded. I'm not sure what we're calling them now, but differently able to, whatever is the polite way of saying, or the, I don't even know what the medical term is anymore. I think it's still mentally retarded. But this kid gets misdiagnosed.
They use it in CrossFit.
Oh,
Can they say
it's an
mentally
intellectual
disabled?
disability. People with intellectual disabilities.
Oh. Okay.
This kid gets misdiagnosed and he's deaf, and he's sold to these people as a pet. And the kid in the family realizes that this kid's just deaf and he's not retarded or intellectually disabled, and so they develop a bond, and the kid starts learning sign language, which everybody's forgotten now because they've misdiagnosed.
Wait, is this a true story?
No, it's a story. It's to point out the horrors of factory farming. And in the end, they're trying to save this kid because he's been picked up by a dog catcher when he ran away during a thunderstorm. He just got frightened and ran, just like a dog or a cat might. And they send him to a farm for processing. And then it's, oh God, it's the most horrible thing. I factory farming's awful. The whole thing sucks, but I still eat a tremendous amount of meat. And I mean, just an absolutely absurd amount.
I think we're also getting to a place for sure when we'll probably have better warehouses and shit to grow good fruits and vegetables all year round as opposed to just seasonal stuff.
Provided we can all keep from panicking and just fix stuff rather than just screaming that the world's on fire.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of, what do you do for yourself mentally when you're in, just because we were talking about the pandemic before we started the podcast, during that time, if you have an example, or just now, what do you do when you're kind of in just a difficult place mentally? What do you guys do? What's your process to get you out of that rut?
In all honesty, I'm in therapy, so.
How long you been going?
Oh, this time around, 7 or 8 years.
Well, in your life, how many years of your life have you gone to therapy?
Probably 10 or 15.
Yeah, well, I personally struggle with that. I was at a therapist when I was really, really little, but I don't think old enough to really do anything or understand, work through stuff. But it just left me with a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, and so it took me
yeah.
a very long time to get help. And it took me even longer because as a teenager I was medicated with the wrong shit and nobody understood why I was suddenly acting out. And it's because certain medicines affect the brain differently. And if you have the wrong brain chemistry for it...
Right, yes, yeah.
Dude, do you want to sit up on the couch with us?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
Brennan's a beanbag.
Yeah.
No, do you want to go?
Now I already committed to it, so now I have to fulfill.
You claimed it. I always go down to the beanbag.
Yeah, I ran in
took
here
it
and sat
somewhere.
first, so it's a power dynamic thing, I just want to make sure I'm close to the floor in case the floor falls apart.
I did a 30 for 30 in April, and they had me sitting. It was in this tea house where I was sitting, that ESPN thing, 30 for 30, and so they had me. I was sitting in this weird. I don't like sitting like this, and the whole thing was awful. But my ass was asleep in seconds. I don't even understand how you've been sitting on the floor the entire time we've been talking.
You know, my body just like went to sleep.
It's that
and then I
mental
just,
strength.
Yeah, and then it just stayed asleep. So.
Oh, God.
But
You're a limber man.
what
Thank
was
you.
the thing that I mean? What is it? I don't know. Just because maybe I need to take notes. What is it that got you or that like you were? No, I don't know if it's fear. Like you have to explain, but. What made you not want to go to therapy? Like, what made it take so long? What is the concern?
I had such shitty experiences
with therapists.
Got
you. Okay.
and it was like I was absolutely drowning. And a friend of mine owned a yoga studio. And she was like, this is my therapist's number. This is how much he is. You're going to call him and make an appointment. I was like, oh, okay. And I did. And I learned a lot. And I met some very interesting people because I was in group therapy. I learned DBT, which is dialectic behavior therapy. Which I'm not using.
Wait, can you explain what that is?
So basically, it's just a way to desensitize your brain and keep from having basically explosive reactions, panic attacks, things like that.
Oh, whoa, okay.
So it's very similar CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy.
I've heard of, yeah. Okay.
There's
just a lot I don't know about this. Like,
there's so many different therapies and I wish people understood that just because XYZ worked for your friend, it might not necessarily work for you.
Right.
Like, everybody has to learn how to play to their fucking strengths and stop trying to be everybody else.
Oh, God. That's
Well
one
said.
thing that... That's one thing that she and I are so, like, we really know our role on our team. And one thing that I have, and she and I also, when we decide to do something, what we've chosen to do is based on our mutual interests and our abilities. We don't pretend all of a sudden, like, it's like people who just go into a martial art and, like, all of a sudden they decide that even though they're a short, fat person, they're going to do Taekwondo and start jumping through the air. It's like, what fucking planet do you live on? And the same thing happens with therapists, it's like going to a martial arts master, I guess, except for your brain. I don't go to one yet, but I have to because I need somebody to drug me up so I can go south of the Mason-Dixon line without killing anyone. I just...
But it is a process.
I gotta go to Texas.
It is a process. Like, it is to find the right therapist, to know what, like you were saying, what, I don't know, strategy works for you.
Therapy can be incredibly dangerous, but it can also be incredibly beneficial. So,
dangerous how? What do you mean? Like leave you worse than you came in?
If you go into therapy and you just want the therapist to tell you what you want to hear, then it's just going to reinforce your behaviors.
Yes.
And probably make them worse.
Yeah, true.
Whereas the appropriate therapist will,
How do you identify that? Because I need to know this for myself. So how would you go about identifying this person out of a group of people? Because I'm not even certain why I need them exactly. Other than for legal reasons, I suppose.
To me, they're important just simply because it's somebody outside your life.
Yeah, they reframe stuff, and they're a neutral party who, like, you could talk about your family, and they don't know your family, and you could talk about your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and they don't know your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. You could talk about, like, secret shit, as long as it's not, like, super illegal, like you're killing somebody. you could talk about anything and they won't report it.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
also another thing. Like, unless you're gonna harm somebody, so like, it is like where you talk about the most fucked up shit. So like, it does take like finding somebody who vibes with you, or like, some people have like a lot of like just childhood issues, and they want somebody who feels like very safe and like a parental figure. But
Yeah.
like, I've always tried to have like younger therapists, because like I feel like they understand like more where I'm coming from. If I'm like, yeah, I just really need to smoke weed, and like that's how I need to get through this situation, and like you talk about shit and just reframe it, and yeah, like sometimes they will.
And like there are therapists that specialize in athletes. There are therapists
Yeah.
that specialize in like you actually have to do research. Like you can't just be like,
Yeah, you gotta do your
okay, the first thing that pops up on my insurance is bingo. Like, and expect it to work. It may work, it may not.
But that's true. How do you know if your therapist is being manipulative or not? Or how do you know if it's a bad seed? But you said trial and error, I guess. So
yeah. And they have to be willing to call you out on your bullshit.
Facts. Yeah.
You know, and that's the most important thing to me that a therapist does, is that, like, he won't only call me out on my bullshit, he will make me acknowledge why I was being called out on my bullshit. And so I am now more likely to, you know, that's what a therapist's goal is.
Yeah.
Is call you out on
Yeah.
your bullshit, but give you a safe place to be able to spew your bullshit too.
But you also like picked up techniques to kind of pivot your behavior when you are in like scenarios and you just don't want to like behave the way you behaved in the past, or you're just like altering it. Do you think people have like it's an issue because people come in with certain expectations, and then they could be like disappointed if they're like, oh, I feel like I should reach this result, and then they don't get to what
I mean, I think that there's a lot of people that it's not even going in with like unrealistic expectations, because a good therapist can like pretty readily tell you like what they like point A to point B. Like no therapist is gonna sell you the fucking moon and be like, oh yeah, it'll be just like a month or two.
Yeah.
Oh, also,
interesting therapist.
one thing that we've really gotten good at is noticing when. So things can go very well and you haven't even noticed because you're so focused on, like you were saying, what you expect a certain result. So they could be focused on achieving this one. Imagine like that you have a half circle of, 180 degrees of different, success you could have. And you're focused on the 15% that you haven't made any progress in, but the other 85 is amazing. If you're just, so if like, basically this was what happened to us. Everything in our life was shit when we were hanging out together. So like, if money still sucked, well, hey, you know what? One day I was like, we really like each other. Like, I really genuinely like you. And she was like, yeah, holy shit. And then oh shit, like, we're really good with cats, or, whatever it was, we managed to hang on whatever progress we were making.
Yeah.
That was enough. And I think
that's a lot of positive reinforcement. That's a lot of also, yeah, if you're with each other during such like, I don't know, like you just grow from this point on. There's only it just gets better, you know.
And also that way you don't have to teach yourself to like yourself. You have a million fucking reasons. You've given yourself a reason every day. Like, well, I did that awesome thing yesterday. Hey, I did this 16 awesome things today. Like, you just keep building a pile to sit on.
No, yeah, I mean, definitely helps with a partner for sure. Because I have issue with self-love for sure.
And then when you just can't throw another rock into the pile, they can toss a couple pebbles in your pond. And that is the key to the whole thing. That's where the partnership really comes into it.
Yeah. All right, so this is probably a sin to ask, but who is your favorite cat of the ones you're It's a very direct question, but the cats aren't listening.
You
so
have
they-
to pick,
we won't tell
to
them.
pick one. You have to
One.
pick one.
That is a
or just pick one you
sin.
want to highlight at least, but also the one you like the most.
Well, today is our first cat, Scotcha Day. We got her 3 years ago.
Mhm.
So
So is that her? That's not her birthday though, right? That's just, like,
no, she was about 4 months old
Okay.
when we got her. She was tiny, little black kitten with one eye.
But it's like her adopted day.
The one eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had an infection in her eye, but she was in an Arm and Hammer commercial anyway.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Whoa,
Yeah, we were in an Arm
cat.
& Hammer commercial with her. I was just dying of allergies because she was shedding so much.
Oh
So
my
I didn't even
So
speak. I was just
terrified.
red.
Oh, that's
Wait,
awesome.
so she doesn't have? She only has one eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Did you give her like a cool eye patch?
No,
She doesn't need
no,
it.
but I gave her the world's longest name. All of her cats have long names.
Okay, wait. Yeah, we have.
They're
to do this.
unused.
Wait, what is it?
Yes, they are completely unused.
So this cat's name is Cat because she acts like a cat. Like she just
She
does cat
slinks
shit.
and stuff like
Oh.
that.
Yeah, and she's very saucy and flirty and
Oh.
yeah.
And her name at the vet and on paperwork is Baylor Jameson Odin's daughter. Because Baylor is the Irish giant that only has one eye, and every time he opens his eye, death and destruction reigns. Hello, she was a 4-month-old kitten.
I love this name.
And she was also supposed to be male.
Oh, whoa.
So, Jameson is Jamie's first name, and Odin's daughter is daughter of Odin.
Odin only had one eye, and yeah, there you go. So and then we
So that's one cat.
yeah.
That's one.
What are the other three? What are their
Chairman
names?
Mao.
I love that.
There is Kiki Biggie Small.
The pronunciation of that one is
Whose
very.
name is
yeah,
actually
yeah.
Forfin.
Yeah, we call her Forfin.
Aw.
And then there is Corporal Poppy Dangerfoof.
Her name is just Foofle.
Are you serious?
Fufa is what I call her. She's my love. She's this fluffy little cat who
She was feral.
we stole her because she was our other Forfin's sister.
Uh-huh.
They were in the same litter of strays, and she fished Forfin out of a car engine. She was stuck in there and she was meowing, so she fished her out. And then a cold snap came, and we knew that Foof was still alive, so we had our neighbor trap her and give her to us. And she lived in our house 5 months. We never petted her. We would snatch touches of her here and there, and she's the softest thing on planet Earth.
She is.
And now she just loves me, so she's always bunting on me, rubbing on me, jumping on me, purring on me. She bites me constantly, so I'm like covered in scratches all over me, and like,
Tiny little hoe bag.
but I love
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I
Is that
love-
your fave?
Mao is my favorite.
No.
He is a big gray and white cat who she has a sort of adopted daughter who was in a mental institution. She had to go to a mental institution. She was involuntarily committed, and her cat was given to successive people, and he like
To take care of
he
him.
spent a month locked in a room with like 4 dogs outside barking at him. And so when he got to us, like he was matted and a mess, and like he just saw me, and he was just
really oily, and like he had that stress shed.
Mm.
and we just bumped heads immediately, and he was just my best friend right out of the gate. So he is the shit. He's like a lion on the prowl. He owns the neighborhood. He's gotten on the train with me,
This
like as we live
fucking
on the
asshole
line.
lays down in the street.
Yeah, when he's mad that we're leaving without him, he'll lay in the street.
Oh
So-
my
Wow,
god.
that is so much
He
confidence.
yells.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my God.
He's and it's not even yelling.
They're all
He
indoor-outdoor cats because we
screeches.
leave the basement window open so they can get in and out.
Uh-huh.
The name's
But then
very
they all
fitting.
make us open the door.
Yeah. Are they all verbal with you? Like, do they all?
Very.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
They all have
And they-
different vocal but
Yeah,
the
and they all
same-
have different purrs.
yeah.
Yeah. because I've never like really lived with a cat before, but this past week I was like staying at my girlfriend's house and living like with their cat, and I was like literally in a room having a conversation with the cat. It was amazing because I would like she'd meow and I somehow knew what she was talking about. Do you feel like you have that kind of rapport with your cats? Yeah, right. It's very interesting.
So they're much more like people than that. You know, we expect them to be like dogs, but dogs are hypersocial and people are not hypersocial. We are like cats, and we gotta kind of figure out what the fuck do we like? Do I like you? I don't know if I like you. Maybe don't fucking touch me in the face, you know. So you know, it'd be weird if somebody just grabbed you and hey, you know. I don't even really like girls that I don't know hugging me for no reason. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Don't touch me. But so yeah. Cats, when you stop expecting them to act like dogs, then they act like. So I just call them cat people, and they're just our people. And so they go where they want when they come with us when they want. We took 2. The one's dead now. He got hit by a car because he was deaf in one ear. He was missing an ear and he was missing his tail because he got caught in a car engine. Which is why we saved Forfin, which his name was Forfin, and she is exactly like him. Only she saved him before. I don't know. I don't know if I'm getting too new agey, but it was like we had a do-over with Forfin. Like she could save him before he got ripped his tearing the tail.
Well,
she acts the same.
We will also refer to Forfin as Biggie.
Yeah, because
named for
Biggie
from Weedman.
Weedman.
Why is he named after Biggie?
Because he's the shit. He would always deliver to our house during COVID, and that's when we got him.
That's awesome.
And he loves us. So like he'd come to the house, hang out with us, and he loves the cats. And you know, he's such a big, nice guy, and he's just he's a sweetheart of a dude. So Jesus, he's humongous.
But to differentiate them, that's why she's Biggie Small.
And and she was when we got her, she was like 4 weeks old, so she was tiny.
And like
she could sit in my hand, and I
had either been attacked by a dog or a raccoon, and like we were thinking that we were gonna have to do like they had estimated like $5,000 surgery.
But it turned out she was infected her stomach.
So I was like,
her stomach was all swollen, and they thought it was going to be surgery.
Yeah, so they thought she had a hernia.
Oh.
And so, like, I'm sitting there and, like, I'm doing the Dawn flea bath. And I picked her up, was drying her off, and then was like, oh, God.
All her pus was draining out.
Yeah. The wound had come out, like, because I couldn't, I guess was through, like, the joint in her leg, or, like, right near it. So it was hidden. Yeah, that was...
She's our little homebody, but she's...
That's good thing you didn't have to do surgery.
No.
You didn't...
No, they're all healthy as shit. And yeah, and so they're indoor, outdoor cats, and they go and come and go whenever they want. But they've gotten really good. Like, Mao has taught them... He likes to play with frogs, so show them to softball them and not kill them. So they do eat slugs, but they mostly don't kill birds, or except spring fever. There was an apocalypse of birds. They were killing birds left and right. I think in 24 hours they killed 4 birds.
Oh my god! Wait, is Mao the leader of the cats? Like,
yeah.
Except for Cat.
Yeah, Cat hates him.
Cat hates his guts.
Well, she hates him, loves him, but he's kind of the protector, and but she's a fucking badass. One time a dog stuck his nose through the just across the threshold of our house, and our front stairs go right down to the front door, and she jumped from the middle of the stairs through the railing, hit the dog in the face, and knocked him down the front steps. And then he didn't run off, so she jumped on his face like a xenomorph from Alien. Whoa. Bang! Hit him in the face, and then
wrestling move.
Flipped him like it was a judo move. So like the momentum of her just wrapping her body around his face as she was going over, flipped him, and he flipped in the air and landed flat on his back and just ran away screaming. It was amazing. Whoa. And his owner was like, "Oh my God, we should have gotten that whole world star."
Oh my God! You know a lot of different martial arts. Is that the cat? Is that what is the umbrella of martial with all the different.
Combat.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called martial arts.
Okay, so he was like looking at Brendan, and I thought for some reason how you looked at me, I was like, "Oh no, is that wrong?"
No,
I was like,
because when you asked me, I made myself reconsider what I knew about martial arts.
I've done a huge
anyway,
series on the history of martial arts.
But have you? How many different things have you been trained in? Have you done? Like,
So I was back in the day when Fight Club came out, we were all very, very excited about it. And it was also UFC had happened, and I
Early
wrestled
days
in
of internet.
I wrestled in
honestly.
college, so like I started going to these Jeet Kune Do. It was a club. It wasn't exactly. It was very freeform, more like Bruce Lee style. But the way that they teach it in a lot of in JKD schools is very formulaic, whereas this was a club where everybody came in with a different martial arts background, and we all taught each other what we knew.
whoa.
And then it was done very Fight Club style. So we would go to different gyms, open mats, and fight against them and their different styles and shit. And then, because I was a fucking weirdo, I was on fightclub.co.uk, which was this message board where all these kids talked all this shit about how they were in these fight clubs. So I used to meet up with people and beat the brakes off them to tell them that you don't want to go barehanded with anybody because it's stupid. So I'd make them do the first round with gloves, and then I'd be like, so do you want to switch to bare hands? And they're like, nope. Because that was before MMA gloves were real, common. And back then, if you wore a tap-out shirt or you had a tap-out sticker on your truck, it meant you could kill everybody with your bare hands. Like, it meant you were a bad motherfucker instead of just some fat white dude who lives in the suburbs. So,
when tap out meant something.
yeah. Back in the day. But,
wow.
yeah, so I did that. And then there was a gym in Tucson that all these UFC fighters used to train in, but it was just a high school gym. And so everybody would come in and we'd just pay $5 a month to keep the lights on. And we'd all train. So I used to roll with Don Fry, who was UFC champ, and Joe Riggs, who fought in the UFC, and a couple other guys. And so we would just go in there and train. One room was without gis and the other room was with gis. And that was like judo more. And my ex-wife was a college wrestler and a freestyle state champ in wrestling. So she would do judo, and then I would go in there and annoy her and then go back into the no-gi room and when.
So you also have type.
Yeah. I'm all into I like an equal.
I just
shield
love that you guys are
maidens.
mad.
I'm into a girl who, I like the girl who's strong on plow. Yeah. My ex-wife once pulled a dude out of the car that he was driving, as he was driving.
Oh, wow.
And beat the shit out of him for cutting me off in a parking lot. Whew. Yeah, she was very hot-headed. But she was an electrical engineer who got bored with electrical engineering and switched to neurology. And she's a neurologist now.
Whoa.
So, yeah, she...
Cool. Still electrical engineering.
Yeah,
She
she...
just of the brain. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
True. Wiring,
is it
wiring
electric
your
signals?
brain.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah.
Very true.
Oh, and when she first did it, I was like, it's just because you want to poke people in the brain. And she was like, yeah, and see which part moves. And I was like, I
Oh
knew
my
that. I knew that's
God.
I can't say shit because she helped save my life.
Yeah, she helped diagnose when she was having problems walking. She realized that
It was doing parts of heavy metal poisoning.
Yeah, she was drinking these protein shakes that were giving her heavy metal poisoning. And, her hair and shit was falling out. She was in a shambles when she was like, it's got to be protein shakes. And I was like, she's drinking this thing. And then she went, no, the GNC things. The GNC, it's only the GNC ones. So, the Fairlife ones.
There's a
The
lot
Fairlife ones in the grocery stores and stuff like that, those are rad. The GNC ones fucking suck, though. They gave her selenium poisoning, and copper poisoning, and other shit.
So we were going to renew our wedding vows. My parents were taking us on a cruise. And so, one of my friends, who is a IFBB pro, gave me a bodybuilding diet. And so I was doing it. The problem is I don't necessarily like eating 6 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those, oh shit, I just remembered to eat and it's 11:59.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first meal's at
Why
night.
Why am I so hungry?
Yeah.
No, that was yesterday.
Wait, on that diet you have to eat 6 times a day?
Yeah.
And like you're eating a lot each meal, right? You're not
it
eating.
was
What are you
chicken
eating 6 times a
and
day?
vegetables.
I eat 6 to 10 times a day.
He doesn't ever
That's so
stop
many
fucking eating.
times to eat.
I have to pack him snacks.
I spend $20 on protein shakes every day for work.
It just takes up so much time to like eat.
Yeah.
So I found something that tasted good, wasn't gritty, because goddamn do I hate fucking protein powder. It's gross. There's always a slight chunky gritty, so I found RTDs, which are ready to drink. And so, I mean, I was drinking like 6 of them a day.
Oh, wow.
So what they do, because they're actually just for dieting, they're not actually for bodybuilding, is they supplement, because like when people go keto and stuff like that, you lose out on large amounts of very, very, very important neurochemicals.
Yeah.
So they supplement it. Well, the problem was I was having like 1.5 times the USDA dosage.
But she was doing that for weeks. So she looked fantastic, and then all of a sudden the wheels fell off. Like she was getting back down to like
I stopped being able to walk.
She was killing it in the gym. Like dudes were watching her lift, and
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden like her hair just started falling out. And within 2 weeks she couldn't walk. We were like, she was walking with a cane like an old lady. So we called my ex-wife because we were just like, I was just like, this is a Hail Mary. I don't know. She's going to fucking die. I don't know what the hell's wrong with her. And so she helped diagnose her on the phone.
Wow.
Yeah. But that was part of it. And then the rest of it just happened to coincide with, I think it was, I had gotten into a fender bender.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Like a year before, and through stress and constantly hunching at work. I just basically pinched every nerve in my body.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Oh god, I gotta keep myself not tense.
Yeah. Well, the key is if you get into a car accident, the chiropractor is, to my mind, the chiropractor is not the important part. The important part is getting there's going to be all kinds of knotting in your neck from whatever had happened. Your muscles will be out of place and they will glue themselves together to keep you from being injured. And that's why you get stiff. Stretching doesn't get rid of that. You have got to get deep tissue massage to get the knots out, and then your headaches go away. You're able to move your head, and I'm speaking from personal experience.
We got a massage since we had our accident.
I love massages. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, we're pro massage here.
Yeah.
Schedule.
Pro massage.
Yeah. How often would you say is like a good amount of time to like frequently get a massage? Like is once a week good for you?
I just do self massage constantly, so
and we have a muscle scraper made by, what is his name?
So my buddy Chris Duffin owns a company called Kabuki, and they make this thing called a Myo Rock, and it's like this metal. It's a weird. It looks like a Vulcan. It looks like a Vulcan weapon. You know that like punch dagger thing that's like a circle.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I'm talking about? So it looks like that, and you use it to like just kind of scrape on your skin to scrape. It's a scraper, and then we have a little one for your face.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so what that does is it's like massage and releases the fasciae.
Yeah.
That's rad. That's really
But
good.
it really
Supposedly
helps with your
it's
headaches.
lymphatic
Because
drainage.
I had gotten into some bad, I flipped a car being a jackass, and with the lifting and then getting into fist fights and headbutting shit, and like everything that I did in my life led to my whole head and neck being knotted up, and that's where all my headaches and shit came from. I haven't had headaches
really
in a while.
gotta take care of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you guys know, but you got I mean, thank you for just sharing a great wealth of information. I also did want to ask, this is gonna be my last question, I don't keep bombarding you guys. Like talking about your travel, you guys have you've been to a lot of different parts of the U.S. or you've stayed mainly on the East Coast?
I've been all over the U.S., Asia, and Europe. And
The world.
So yeah,
Yes.
you've done.
Yeah,
lot
I
of
studied in
travel.
Beijing for a year, and then went to
Whoa.
Tibet and Inner Mongolia and Hong Kong and Macau, and then I did grad school in Austria, and then we drove from Austria through Eastern Europe. Like I drove because my friends like to measure distance in beer, and that doesn't work for driving, so I drove while they drank. And so we went up from Vienna to Breslau, or up through Germany, like to Berlin, and spent the night in Berlin. Then went to Breslau, Poland, and then drove back down through like Slovenia, Slovakia, and all that. And then I did Italy, all over Italy, and
Wow.
all over
That's-
the rest of Austria.
Of
So-
all the places you visited,
and then the Caribbean.
what's like which culture did you gravitate a lot toward?
Or what did you take from each culture?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you probably
Me too.
like something in all of them.
You've been exposed to so much. Wow.
When I was a kid, I developed a huge love for the Mongols and the Huns, and so I was so excited to go to Mongolia, and they fucking loved me in Mongolia. So I feel like I could go to like Ulaanbaatar and just live like a king there. I did. It was amazing. I felt like a coming home, even though I did an ancestry DNA, and like I'm the most German person you ever met, and 1% Bantu. Vienna is my favorite place on earth. Vienna and Budapest, Hungary. I gotta love those two. There's beautiful cities. Everybody's awesome. The subways are amazing. And Budapest has the oldest working subway in the world.
Whoa.
And it's the nicest. It's so cool. Even though the language is totally incomprehensible. They got statues of Attila the Hun on like every street corner. It's fucking rad.
Wow.
How about you? Where's your favorite? St. Croix.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
She loves St. Croix.
Yeah. See, I'm not as much of I'm more of a very relaxed traveler. So, you know, I mean, when you have social anxiety and general anxiety, you like bouncing from country to country to country with no set schedule is
I get that.
not
Yeah.
not fun.
Yeah.
So
A relaxed traveler is a good traveler to be. There's no, you can't go wrong. Like,
yeah, because it's hard enough for me to pick myself up out of where is safe. That like just bouncing around with no set, it makes me very nervous.
Where have you guys traveled together? Though? Or where do you want to go next?
We went to St. Lucia, to an all-inclusive.
Yeah.
We
in the
went
Caribbean.
on.
And then we went on a Caribbean cruise with her parents.
It was a 10-day over Christmas and New Year's.
Ooh, nice. How was that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of cruises. She likes cruises. I'm more of a let's throw. Fuck it. If you got a backpack, let's get a backpack. If you don't, we'll just grab shit when we get there. And we'll figure out where we're going when we get to the airport. I really like doing that. And so when I was in Europe, when I was in Europe, it's like the first step of any trip is buying Jägermeister, and then anything else can happen after that. We gotta have a couple drinks before we even figure out where we're going. And she is so she's like, well, you
I
know,
don't drink.
in 2055 we could go on this cruise around the world. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about a cruise anywhere. Never mind a cruise about the world in 2055. And like, I will go to a cruise if we have tickets, and I'm told that is where I have to be at the appointed time. Provided there's a gym on the ship, I will go.
Oh yeah,
and
they
I will
will
be there.
You have to be careful. You'll tip the boat.
I just can't. I'll go. I don't mind just lifting on machines. Like I can get an awesome workout in a Planet Fitness. I don't care. So I'm not a snob about gyms. I'm not I look like a meathead, but I'm really I've written about how lifting is an art and not a science. It really, to me, it's just something that you do for fun. I have huge shoulders because I really like lifting shoulders. Has nothing to do with like, I want to look like this. It's just like, I like doing that, so I want to do it for a while. I was really good at squatting, so that was the record that I tied a record. I tied the squat record and broke the total record in powerlifting, and it was just like the squat was just easy for me. So, and then the deadlift where I was drunk.
And tore his bicep.
On one of them, yeah, at one meet.
And
So-
what?
Yeah, you can see it on the internet. Oh, you want to see something gross? It looks like a ghost punches me in the bicep.
Oh my
God.
god!
Literally,
You can see it. You can see it tear. And I stopped pulling for a second,
Oh
And,
jeez.
and it's so I had pulled 606, and I broke my hand pulling 606 as my warm up because it was so light, and so I was really feeling myself that day, and
Wow.
and so I broke it because I slammed the weight so hard back into the ground because I was like, motherfucker, yes, because it was such a light pull, and then the second pull I tore my bicep with 6.
Wow. Well,
with
we'll
six
have to show the people where to
675.
find that. Just because it's an audio podcast.
Yeah, it
people
doesn't
can't
make
see
any sense.
the video
Yeah.
we're seeing. No, but we definitely would
Yeah.
love to see it. So let's sign off, and then let's
Yeah.
I mean, thank you guys so much for
Guys,
coming
this is
on
amazing.
the
This is-
episode. Yeah.
I do want to see your grossed out reaction to my punched in the bicep.
Oh no, I'll show you. Yeah, we're gonna absolutely
Oh,
watch
alright,
it as soon
word.
as we
Nice.
stop recording. Yeah, no, I'm dead serious. I want to see it.
Yeah.
It's just- and
We'll
you
do a
guys
reaction
are
to
gonna
the
have to
reaction.
find this video. Yeah, you're gonna have to look it up so that you guys can see it too. Sorry, any last thing you guys want to plug or say or add or any last words?
This is an amazing setup, by the way, because I totally forgot we were recording.
Yes, mission accomplished.
Yes, that is. So Plague of Strength is my website. I don't really have anything to plug right now, but I call myself the People's Champion of History.
Yeah.
I like writing about strength training history, but I write about martial arts. And lately, I've just been kind of writing about anything that interests me, like the Harappans in ancient India had like 4,500 years ago had flush toilets,
Wow.
and they lifted with kettlebells. So
Wow.
yeah, no wars, flush toilets, and they lifted weights. And
Hmm.
I don't think we advanced much since then, have we? We're still doing the same shit. We only just reinvented the toilet.
That's why history is so amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway, you wanted to sign off. That's what I'm plugging.
no,
History.
but that's fantastic.
Everybody learn
yes,
shit.
We
Yeah,
definitely
learn
want to, and we want to
shit.
know when your podcast is.
Oh yeah, so Breakthrough Secrets is where I'm going to be having the podcast, the Breakthrough Secrets podcast. The details haven't been finalized yet, but that's apparently who's going to host it right now. Unless unless last podcast on the left just is like, yeah, we want you to do a history podcast, and I'd be like, yes.
Well,
That was my
awesome.
dream. That is my dream of dreams. A history
Very
version of the last
suited for
podcast.
that. Very suited for that. And Tara, anything? You're just amazing. You're just awesome. Sorry,
She's
moving
like,
on. Sorry,
"Yeah,
Brendan, Jordan. You guys have.
We got some shows to promote. We got some the late night Hump show tomorrow will be myself and Vince Capizzi along with me.
Tonight,
Wednesday.
probably, when people are listening.
Right.
Wednesday when people
Yeah.
are listening.
Wednesday,
The
whatever.
final
Wednesday.
Hump of the month.
Yeah. Just like follow us on
Oh,
Late Night
shit.
Hump and keep listening because we're gonna keep having more guests. And thank you guys for being such excellent guests. It's just the podcast is already fun because you're hanging out, you're smoking weed, but when you have like amazing people telling amazing stories,
Oh
it'd
my
be
God,
amazing.
yeah.
It just is. What is it? Amazing.
And you
Yes.
guys also got a world record of only one on the challenge list. Fantastic.
No,
No, we definitely need 2 or 3.
Oh.
No, I named over 10 of them.
Yeah.
In one story,
Oh my
I named.
God,
in
I
one,
never
in one,
recorded.
story-
I'm sorry.
in one
No, I
story,
wasn't.
in one story, I named 6. I could.
Yes,
you want me to
like-
rip them off right now?
Oh my God.
Rip 'em off.
You
Oh,
should, just,
yeah.
you should just give him 11. I think he was at 11. At
Okay.
least, yeah. Or a dozen.
I mean, okay.
I remembered him saying
I don't know.
it a
I
few
feel like you
times,
could get
yeah.
like 200. I don't know. You're just
Yes, I could. I could
Yeah,
get way more
easily.
than 200.
Yo, you can just go. Yeah. If you
Okay,
wanna say
yeah,
them,
we're
yeah.
gonna sign up here,
And
people.
Tara
But
is
if you
going
wanna,
to.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just
We're
So
gonna-
this is allowed now.
Don't forget to spay and neuter your pets.
yeah, thank
Well, that
you
was a
all
good PSA at the
for listening to Session with Mary Jane. We're gonna just keep recording so we can just get this record break
And get the
out.
reaction shot.
All right,
of
nice.
us. Because
Yes.
I know Jamie wanted us to react on the
Yeah,
actual podcast.
my dad was so he hated me for showing that video. He was
Oh, no.
really
I can't
pissed at
wait.
me.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
I gotta see this.
All
Yeah.
right, so yeah.
Okay.
And then you can name him while we're watching it, and then once the thing happens, everybody will know that we've seen it.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep rolling.
So, oh shit! Is that? I'll just do it that way. Did you see it? Or it sounds like it happened already.
No, I missed the. It was that.
So
it
you
was
gotta-
real quick.
Yeah, it is. But you gotta look at my left arm.
Left arm. Okay, got you.
So it's the one on this side.
Okay.
It's midway through the pull when I stop halfway up. Did you see it?
Yeah. It like moved a little bit, right?
Oh no, it was down here and then it went up to here. So it was stuck in my armpit. And I got to here. I got to here. And then all of a sudden you see my bicep snap and go into my shoulder.
Oh my
We didn't understand it.
And so I stopped here,
I didn't know what it was
and when I
looking
stopped
for.
here, it wasn't because I went, oh, ow. I went, oh, fuck, I have no insurance. And I went, so I was like, should I finish it? Fuck it, I'll finish it. So I finished it.
Oh my god.
Now that we understand it, let's watch.
Oh, sorry.
So we're high. We forgot what a bicep is.
It is funny that like, your mind does go. It's like as soon as like, you know something bad, like there's no question of something bad happening to you. You already know. So now you're just like, how am I gonna deal with the fallout of this?
Yeah, well, and I mean, that was the heaviest pull I had ever had in a meet, but I had expected to go like 50 pounds heavier. So,
oh, so you were gonna keep going after? Like,
oh
like,
yeah, that was
like-
only my second attempt. I was supposed to go up another 50 pounds because my first pull was so I just went bang, and I was like, whoa, and then slammed it in the thing because I was like, fuck yeah. And then they gave me no lift on my first pull because I slammed into the ground so hard. And yeah. But so here we go.
Okay,
So I don't know how many we have.
You have
I
11.
think- all right, so we got Franco Colombo with Vince Taylor. I'll just start listing Mr. Olympias. We've got, we start with Larry Scott. Then it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, Franco Colombo. Oh shit! I'll just Mike Mentzer. I'm not going to name all. Mike Mentzer, Chris Dickerson. This is harder to do than I thought because you're just random name. I can just naming names.
Yes.
You were so confident.
Samir Banout, Chris Dickerson, Mr. America Bill Pearl, Mr. America Steve Reeves, Floyd Peterson. Let's see. Boyer Coe. Jim Hayslop. And then we'll go Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman. God damn it. Blood and Guts, Dorian Yates. I went out drinking. I went bar hopping with Chris Cormier. I said it. I just have to. I said it because I needed to remember his name.
No, like
While I was bar hopping with Chris Cormier, Mel interviewed Brendan. Shit. He was a Mr. Olympia at the time.
It's you,
But he was only Mr. Olympia once.
Yes,
Fuck it, I
once.
guess I'm not gonna get that one.
Come back to.
Yeah. So let's see. Who else can we name? We've got. Goddamn, this is harder. High. This is.
Yeah.
This is
That's exactly why we
Cool.
put the challenge in there.
All right. So. Oh, now my brain is frozen. Roland Sherlock, and that is spelled Ciurlok. Then we have Roland Gunter Schlierkamp, who was in.
What a name!
Yeah, Gunter
God.
Schlierkamp was supposed to be the next Arnold, and he was in Beer Fest. I don't know if you ever saw Beer Fest.
movie, yeah, right,
from
yeah.
the Super Troopers guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in that. I already said Ralph Moeller, Dolph Lundgren. Are we going to count Sylvester Stallone? He wasn't really a bodybuilder. He never competed. Lou Ferrigno.
Right, because that's the qualification. They have to have like been like a competitive.
Okay, Lou
bodybuilder,
Ferrigno.
right?
I already said Steve Reeves. Then we've got Oh man. Steve Michalik. Then there's John Defendis. Those two guys trained together. Arnold trained with Frank Zane. Did you know that Tommy Chong used to work the front desk of Venice Beach? And he was a bodybuilder. He was an avid bodybuilder.
what?
Tommy Chong.
Like
Yeah.
Cheech and Chong?
Yeah, because
Really?
he used to smoke weed with Zabo Kazuski, who was a competitive bodybuilder who managed that Gold's Gym at the time.
Wow.
And so all those guys, Manny Perry, who was the guy who he was the stunt double for the Incredible Hulk. He was he was a black dude, and he was a competitive bodybuilder. He trained with them, and they all used to smoke weed in between lifts.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wow.
they would lift and smoke weed, and it was,
What a life.
yeah. So then you have Pudgy Stockton, who was this awesome female bodybuilder of the 60s who didn't actually get to compete, but she was the acknowledged best female bodybuilder of all time. There's also Pillow. That is her stage name. She's a burlesque dancer who does, she's a drag king now, and she was a competitive bodybuilder in the 80s. She was really cool. I've written a bio on her. Then you have Kim Chizensky, which is a very tough name to write. Vicky Gates. She was Ronnie Coleman's wife. Let's see. We have Phil Heath. He was also Mr. Olympia. Then there's Brendan Curry is the guy's name. He was the one that Mel was she interviewed when that's on TikTok. Then we've got how many do we have now?
You have 45. You have to
Okay,
be
we're back.
89.
Okay.
You
Can I
have
just write them
45
down, or do
to
I have to
beat
say them? It's easier for me to
89.
write them down.
No, you gotta say.
Oh, I
'cause
gotta
it's
say
the
it.
audio
Oh yeah, because it's an
podcast.
audio podcast. God damn it! All right, so we're still going, babe. I just remembered Brandon Curry's name because I was like, and my wife interviewed because it's
Yeah,
harder to do than I thought. All right, so Melvin Wells, who was a black bodybuilder who never got his due because he had awesome arms, but he was very black in a time when being black was not a good thing. Harold Poole was another guy who smoked a shitload of weed. He was a weed dealer. He was also the bouncer at the coolest titty bar in New York City at the time, and narrowly missed out on the Mr. Olympia because also black.
Also, Tara, if you want to chime in, I'm sure you know a lot because he said him a bunch of times.
I've probably forgotten a lot by this point. Eddie
Sergio
Hall.
Oliva's the first. He's not a bodybuilder. Sergio Oliva's the first black bodybuilder who won the Mr. Olympia.
Sorry, did you say him already?
Yes, Sergio. No,
Yeah.
I didn't. Lee Haney is another black Mr. Olympia.
So 40.
I said Chris Dickerson. He was the first gay Mr. Olympia, also
Already
black.
said him, or you?
I did Chris Dickerson. I've already said him. Then let's see. We also have in that realm. We have what the hell's that little last body? I'm trying to 4'11". Flavio Baccianini. Flavio Baccianini was 4'11" and a competitive bodybuilder who was known for standing on stage beside the aforementioned Lou Ferrigno and Vince Taylor. And he was just a tiny little counterpoint to them. But yeah, he was.
Those two you just named, did you name them already?
Yeah, I'd already named
Just
them.
making sure.
Roland Kickinger, who was the other guy who looked like Arnold, and he was. Gunter was born in the same city as him, but Roland was not, I don't think. In any event, as Arnold.
4'11".
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Then, let's see. We also have...
Did you get Franco?
I did get Franco. He was one of the first guys I named.
You got 51.
Manfred Horrible. He had the largest arms ever measured on muscular arms ever measured on a human being. 25 inches. They were bizarre looking. And yeah, they were crazy. He's a super nice guy too. I said Jay Cutler tonight. Let's see. How many do I have?
52.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so 89 is the, right? 89?
Yeah, he does the record right
Oh,
now.
goddamn.
The record?
Yeah.
All right.
You
What?
can get there.
Yeah,
Think so?
what country produces the like a majority of either like the Mr. Olympia competitors. I guess it's like bodybuilders. in
Now
general.
it's right now it's the United States.
Mm.
But fun fact: before 1918, before World War One, Austria was actually the place where all the lifters were.
Hmm.
In a time where there were only 2 gyms in all of France, there were 111 gyms in Austria, and so I thought that was really good. And most of them were inside of Vienna, and I think that was really cool. That, but it sucks for the Austrians that World War One and World War Two killed all of their guys off. Hermann Gorner was from Germany. He actually fought in both World War One and World War Two, and was a competitive bodybuilder after both of them. Like, that was wild, and a competitive strongman.
That is wild.
George Hackenschmidt, also a bodybuilder, and Eugen Sandow was acknowledged as the first, like, he was the first Arnold, basically. Bernard McFadden was a bodybuilder who was also the promoter of Eugen Sandow. He's a competitive bodybuilder. Let's see. Then we have Tommy Kono was on the U.S. Olympic weightlifting team and a competitive bodybuilder. John Davis, first black guy to do both of those things and should have won the Mr. America. John Grimmick won the Mr. America and won a gold at the Olympics. Oscar... It's not Oscar Robinson, damn it. There was a little Jewish guy. Oscar Isaacs. God damn it. He was this little,
We're gonna fact check that one.
Yeah.
fuck. No. That one isn't, no.
It's not Oscar Isaac.
No, I'm getting, his name is, his first name's Ike. He was this tiny little, he was the first Jewish guy to win a gold for the Americans in the Olympics. He might have been the first Jewish guy to win a gold in the Olympics.
What year was this?
It was in the 1930s, and he was a lightweight. God damn it! It doesn't really matter what his name was, but he was the first. He won a lightweight gold. He was also a bodybuilder, and he was jacked as fuck. It was cool. He was jacked for a guy who was 136 pounds.
Yeah.
But the York bodybuilders were the guys who actually went out to Gold's Venice Venice Beach and got it shut down because they were fucking so many of the girls at that they decided that they were like public health menace and like a menace to the morals of the girls in LA. So because they were living in houses that were just 20 dudes living in this boarding house that was run by this old lady who would just cook for all of them, and Arnold lived there for a while, and they were all doing gay for pay porn, and then just bringing chicks back, and just so it was just like fucking sluts at night, and then going and like getting their dick sucked every now and again from some weird old guy, in front of the other weird old guys. There was a house that they would go to that the owner of the house was a gay dude, and he let this guy whose name also escapes me. Who was Ken Sprague. Ken Sprague is another bodybuilder.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Who he was the editor of a bunch of bodybuilding magazines, but he was also a gay porn star. I forget his cult something or other. But he was like the biggest gay porn star in the world at the time. At the same time, he was managing like Muscle and Fitness, and he was living in this house that was owned by this gay dude that had all these two-way mirrors in it, where people would just go into these dressing rooms and change fully with the knowledge that they were doing it for the sexual excitement of all these random people behind the mirrors. But all that gay shit was very well accepted back then. I don't know if you know about Scotty Bowers. There's a Netflix documentary about they had a gas station where people used to just go and fuck in it, and pro bodybuilders did, like Steve Reeves, the Mr. America guy, who I had already named.
You said him?
Yeah.
The guy you just named, though, is he a bodybuilder?
Ken Sprague, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah. He was friends with Arnold. Arnold used to go to all those parties. How many do I have now?
60.
60. Damn it, hold the hell. I just want to, I'm trying to think of something that'll make me rip off a bunch of names in a row. Jim Hellwig was the Ultimate Warrior. He was a competitive bodybuilder. Ravishing Rick Rude. Rick Rude, it's R-O-O-D was his actual spelling of his name, and he was a competitive bodybuilder and a WWE wrestler. Who else do we have? Tony Atlas, competitive bodybuilder.
Benny Hoda and all them, or no?
Ooh, Benny Pota was he was a competitive
Who's the one
bodybuilder.
that had the penta?
Oh, shit. I don't remember his name. He was a world record holder in bench press. And I actually got to just message with him back and forth over. He owned all these rad exotic cars back in the day. Do you guys know what a Pantera is?
No.
It was basically like a Lambo, but it was made in America. And he got this thing up to 200 miles an hour in like 1979.
Whoa.
And the car is...
Pat Neves.
Pat Neves, yes. Pat Neves is another one. Good call.
Yeah, Tara.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a super nice guy, but a little, boomery. And he lives in Arizona, so they tend to that. But, what the hell was the name of the guy who,
There's a really hot one in the book right after Neves. Looked like classic surfer.
Scott Wilson. Scott Wilson's another one. Rory Liedlmeyer. What? The blonde bomber, Dave Draper.
We're watching the
Johnny Fuller.
the weightlifters' endurance right now. The weightlifters' perseverance.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
weightlifters
He's lifting these
fighting
names.
adversity right now through the high.
I'm not gonna make
No, he can't ever lose anything.
You're at 69.
I actually I gave myself pneumonia once beating the gym record for a CrossFit onboarding workout. The record was held by a Navy SEAL. I hadn't run a step in like 10 years, but I refused to lose, and so I beat the gym record and gave myself walking pneumonia. And I ended up losing that job. The job, I had to do that fucking workout for a job, working for Wattify, which was, they make software for CrossFit.
Babe. Let's not get everybody sued.
Yeah. Anyway, I ended up losing that job, and I had pneumonia when I did it. Like, I had worked through 10-hour days, 12-hour days through a month of pneumonia. When I was finally better, they were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you don't need to come back. You're good." And I was like, because I took 2 days off. I was like, "Let me just sleep the last of it off." The doc said, because I finally went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "You are a fucking moron. Why are you even here? Your temperature's 102. I was like, "I feel pretty good." I was about to go to the gym, and he was like, "Get the fuck out of my office and go lay in a bed." So yeah, I had sweated through my mattress. I had to throw the thing away. It was a wreck. It was a rough month. Yeah, but so I refuse to lose.
Yeah, well, you got 69.
Yeah, fuck you, pneumonia.
Hey, 69's a pretty awesome number.
69.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta make it to 89.
Huh?
Well, yeah, unless you want to be the winner who stops at 69.
that's true.
You're definitely
That's
the top
true.
5 now, I'd say, of like the scorers in this.
It's up to you, because I can keep going, but I know you have to get home because we have to go to bed.
That's fine.
Oh.
Keep going.
All right.
I'm eating snacks. I'm good.
Where did you get snacks?
Yeah, I'm gonna microwave my
I
snacks
brought
for
them with me.
later.
They're my dinner.
Yeah.
That's
Guys, so this is like the after hours portion of the podcast. Like, this is
Yeah,
the
we've
munchies
never
time.
run
Probably
it. This is
munchies.
probably the longest episode.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Well, I hope we didn't talk too much.
No, oh my gosh. We like that's the thing. It's very natural, free form. Like it just ends when it ends naturally. We don't do too much editing on these either. Like it's just because when you're having a conversation, wild blaze with people and doing a silly challenge like this, it just it just goes
Dave
places.
Hawk, David Dirth.
See? There you
This is
go.
the 70s now.
But we
Yeah,
went
I
off
was
on a
just-
long tangent. There's just also you guys have like a lot of good shit like that you were talking about. So like it's I don't know. It's hard to cap. How do you cap it?
You know, that's
The way I
You
remember.
don't. It's 24 hours. No. Okay.
The way I remembered their two names was I was trying to remember. So I used to date Heinrich Himmler's.
What were their names?
David Dirth and David Hawk. I used to date
Babe.
a girl related to Heinrich Himmler, and so I was trying to remember who fucked her in the bathroom of the gym, and it was David Dirth. And then I remembered that Dave Hawk had this stupid name that was
Mike
like,
Hearn.
Oh, Mike O'Hearn. Yeah, he is the greatest bodybuilder who's living today. He actually holds a Guinness World Record for being on the most romance novel covers. He's hot as fucking shit. He kind of looks like he's made of plastic, but he's like
Sorry.
55 or something like that. Still when I say gorgeous, painful to look at. He's so pretty. And Mike O'Hearn was his name. He was on American Gladiators. He was on Battle Dome. He was a professional powerlifter. He was a professional bodybuilder. And now he's just a gorgeous 55-year-old dude who's in competitive bodybuilding shape at all times and can rep out 450 on the bench. Like this. Weights anybody else would be squatting, and he's just like, oh, did I tell you I'm 55 and I'm the most beautiful thing you ever saw? Oh, yeah, here you go. Yeah,
Correction, he's 52.
Oh.
But
And
yeah,
the most beautiful man on planet. He makes The
Wow.
Rock look like a dog.
Oh my god.
Does that
Look
kind of
at this.
swagger also make him more attractive? Because like, he's very impressive, but also he's like doing it in this way where it's like he.
Oh, that's why you remembered his name.
It's so
Chris
hot.
Hemler? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she tried to follow him into the bathroom to suck his dick at the Olympia one time.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, go get it. If you can get it, if you can
Oh
make it
my
happen,
God.
go get it. He played Superman in the best. Clark Bartram's another one.
Wow.
There was a great short film called Batman Dead End that is Clark Bartram as Batman, Mike O'Hearn as Superman, and they are beating the shit out of each other with the best Joker in the world behind them.
This is online, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Predator shows up.
Yeah.
It's fucking dope. And then Alien shows up. Yeah, it's super dope.
So you're at 73.
All right. Yeah, I'm doing it now. Here we go. All right. Just have to relax my brain. You guys are helping so much. Jack LaLanne.
Alright.
Let's see.
Charles Atlas.
Yeah, Charles Atlas definitely qualifies, doesn't he? Earl Lederman is another one who was he fits. Burt Goodrich founded the first modern gym. Louis Attila was the founder of the first gym in America that was like it wasn't the first public gym open to Americans, but it was the first thing you'd think of as a modern American gym. And it was open to both men and women, and he also trained people of any color. It was pretty rad. And that was in New York City.
That's cool.
I already said Eugene Sandow, who was his pupil. And then let's see. We have Eugene Levy, who was a competitive bodybuilder, and he was also the guy who won the the first gold in weightlifting in the Olympics. Let's see. Boy, my brain's on all this old shit. My brain's filled with ancient boxers right now.
I wish he was kidding.
Very poetic, actually.
Johnny Colombo was not Franco Colombo. There was a Johnny Colombo as contemporaneous. There was also Johnny Maldonado, who was of that era, and he was very short. Then we had Lee Sabra, who was short and jacked. And what other manlets do we have?
Mighty Adam.
Oh, yeah, the Mighty Atom, Joe Greenstein. Ike Berger was the guy I was talking about earlier, so give me that one. He was the little Jewish guy.
Gave it to you.
Yes.
That's yours.
All right.
Wait, so were there two names you said? I mean, you said one name.
Oh no! His nickname was the Mighty
yeah,
Adam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Or
Joe
the Mighty
Greenstein.
Adam.
Joe Greenstein was his name. Then we have. I had a couple other ones. Steve Stanko, who was an Olympic weightlifter who won gold in the Mr. America. I said John Defendus. I'm trying to think of the crazy people.
Lola Montez? No.
No. Lola Montez was awesome. She was the first action star in America, and she was a woman, and she was a courtesan who started a revolution in Germany that actually sent all of the crazy-ass weightlifting revolutionary Democrats that lived in Germany to the United States. And they formed all of the gyms in America.
Wow.
And Lola Montez
That's
did that.
remarkable.
She was a drunken fucking maniac who did all these crazy-ass sword fights and was considered to be one of the greatest swordswomen of all time. And she was trained by this guy whose name was Colonel Thomas Hoyer Monstery, who's my vote for the most interesting man in the world. He trained another woman right after her who was really like the official first action star, because where Lola Montez was really popular and it was based on her looks and her action, the other one whose name was
It's not part of the list.
I just wrote the whole I just wrote the series on these two. Lola Montez and god damn it. Anyway, she was also one of the champion swordswomen, and like, so he trained all these swordswomen, and they ended up like becoming all these badass women in like action theater at the time, and suffragettes would beat the brakes off people if they wouldn't give them their way in real life. And like because women had a real problem with like they had to have a manager who was basically like a pimp who would go and fuck up people if they wouldn't pay. Well, Lola Montez and what is her fucking name? Had none of that, and they would just carry guns and swords, and they would fuck up people and beat them down or stab them, fight them on the street if they had to. And the suffragettes in Britain they all knew jujitsu. The women who actually fought for the vote in Britain, they all trained in jujitsu and would fuck people up, and they were terrorists, which I never knew. They did all these bombings and shit at night when nobody would be in buildings. They would let them know, like, we're gonna blow this building the fuck up, so stay out of it, and then they blow it up. Yeah. That was
Well, you're at 85.
And I need to get. Oh, I only need 5 more.
Yeah, to
If
break
you want
it.
to tie, yeah.
Fuck. Oh,
No.
alright.
5 breaks it 4 times because it's 89, right? Is the record?
Oh, no, you're right. Yes, you're right. Sorry. 89's record. Yeah.
Yeah, I got this then.
I don't know who's going to beat this.
Who did Benny Poda?
After him, I don't know.
Yeah,
Benny Poda
The
used
feats
to
that
hang
people
out with.
accomplish is just...
It's true. It's true. You're
Theory,
surprised.
Theory Pastel. Then who was the other guy with the crazy abs?
But I
Jesus.
wonder what the next, if they get 91, if they beat his, he gets 90. What 91 things of what? What's going to be on that list? Like, people are such a surprise.
Yeah.
Sometimes people have such incredible power.
Yeah, lots of
My
knowledge.
brain
This is talent.
totally
Like, this is,
locked up right now.
like, I couldn't name 90 bars and bits. The challenge is ridiculous.
I feel ridiculous for taking so long to do this. My brain is completely locked up right now.
listen, Jamie. This is a very short time. You're actually doing that. You're rattling off in a very short period of time. Like, this takes people the lengths of the episode, so that's 1 to 2 hours. You're not. When did we start this?
Nasser El Sanbadi.
We're over 2 hours with
There's
the
another
whole
one?
episode.
No, but when he's listing stuff.
Rolly.
10 minutes?
Oh, Rolly Winkler. And he's a super duper nice guy, and his wife is this. So that's. Do you want to know how to spell?
No.
Oh. What is
We're
Rose's
good.
last name?
I have no idea. I never knew her last name.
I know her Instagram.
Oh, Hunter Henderson is one of my friends, and she's got a pro card.
That's 89.
Yeah, and who is the least interesting strength historian in the world? Ben.
What a title.
Oh God!
What the hell's his name?
It's P.
Come on, you have to beat him.
Oh, this
It's
is
not
teamwork.
Puccio though.
This
It's
is teamwork
Ben.
right here.
Although wasn't Pooch a bodybuilder too? Although he's not famous.
Blank is the name of the guy who fucking big timed me. He broke my record, and then
Oh, you have to defeat
And then
him
he-
by naming him.
and then he got a degree in philosophy. Like it's kind of the degree in what I do.
I love
it's
the pattern of
But
this.
it's in I only just discovered it was in philosophy. I was admitted to the university. It's only at the University of Texas. I was admitted to UT for history back in the day. I crushed the GRE, and so they breezed me in. It's a top 5 school, but I didn't go because I was going to have to learn 9 languages to do my thesis was going to be on Central Asian horse nomads, and it takes way too many languages to do that. So everybody just said, either you're going to have to pick something else or
Wow.
just do something else. And I was like, fuck it. So, I definitely have this.
Oh, even
Yeah,
tie
this was
game.
not long. This is not long
No.
enough for you to name.
Who
You know, I
beat
love how
Brandon
that
Curry?
took forever. This is.
Oh, Johnny Jackson is the guy who I bought shots for when I was drunk in between deadlifts, and he was breaking a record. He's a pro. He's an IFBB pro, but he went and broke the deadlift world record at this one meet that I was drinking at. and lifting and broke my record.
Well, that's very appropriate.
Yeah.
I think you just broke the record.
That's it.
for-
That's 90.
Oh, sweet! There we
Yeah.
go. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's perfect.
Yeah, hell
Congratulations.
It's synchronicity. That was the worst fucking high five any two people I've ever had.
But the most impressive game, though, because you have the most points and you have all the bragging rights. So thank you for
Yeah, you do.
coming on
Yeah.
and delivering an excellent podcast. And then also
It deserves a suck it.
yeah, yeah. The biggest of suck it from everyone. DX should be very proud of
Yes.
that. Yeah, very proud of you for what you have accomplished today. So thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for listening to such a very day. Have a